It's True Crime Tuesday. I can only do politics for so long, Diego. And,
yeah.
Well, speaking of killers, that's why we're here today. I remember the day that they put Gacy to death.
I watched it on TV.
And Pogo the Clown, I had to pull this up because what the hell kind of parent would hire this guy? That Gacy was a very prominent Democrat. I think the worst way to die is death by serial killer. So I want to know who they are. I want to know how to spot them. I want to know what they do and how they act. And I feel like every time I get to know one of these guys and I dig into their, how their MO and how they did stuff, I end up going, they would have got me. Like I have no clue. I would not have known. This is a bullet would solve this problem. Like if the state is going to kill you, please make it quick. Do you remember Rolando Cruz? DNA evidence many years later proved it wasn't him. $20 million, and he ended up moving right next to me, Diego. Right next to me.
He's innocent. He didn't do it.
On November 13th, sometime between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered by stabbing as they slept after a late night out on the town. This is what you should do before you run with anything like this. What we need to do, because our sourcing is not great, is just call and find out. Can you transfer me to the public information officer, please?
Are you at the media?
Yes. You know what? I'm never going to get rich at this game because I'm just not cold-hearted enough to run with wild theories just for the clicks. And so if you enjoy accuracy, even if it's not the sexiest thing you've ever seen, maybe my content is for you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Tuesday. I'm Megan Fox. I write with pjmedia.com. You can find me on meganfox.locals.com, where I write almost every day. I write articles and I try to write real news, not fake news. And fake news is a lot about what we're going to be talking about today at the top of the program here. Oh gosh, we've got so much to talk about. My stack of stuff is off the charts huge. So let's hope we get through this because I can't be here for 4 hours today. Coming to the program now is Joe Raffa. He's a retired LA Sheriff's Department deputy. He was been in Homicide for, I think, 18 years on the force. Joe, thanks for being here with me today.
Hi, Megan. How you doing?
Hello. Good. Well, a little upset here in New York. I'm wearing my Bills gear today.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had quite a traumatic night last night. Now, some of you know I used to live in Chicago, so you would think I'd be a Bears fan, but the truth is I moved to New York and I really just became a football fan after watching the Bills. I was never really a football fan in Chicago, but the Bills really got to me. And my husband actually bought me this for Christmas this year, this little hoodie that I have, my Bills gear, and he makes fun of me because he's a big Bears fan. He called the Christmas Eve Bears-Bills game the divorce game because he was watching me closely to see who I was cheering for, and I couldn't help myself. I'm a Bills fan, and I really enjoy watching them. They're an incredible team. And so, if there's a Bills game on, I'm going to be watching it. And last night, I was watching it with my son and my husband when Damar Hamlin got hit real hard and then got up, seemed okay, and then just hit the deck really hard and went down. And what we know so far is that he had a cardiac arrest. They were working on him on the field for 9 minutes doing CPR. And then I heard this morning that they actually got the paddles out from the ambulance and were shocking him on the field. I mean, now we know why the players' faces were the way they were. I mean, they were just traumatized. Those guys, big big burly, football players are got tears running down their faces. It was very bad. We were all just traumatized. And I couldn't believe they were even thinking about going on with this game. I'm like, you do CPR for 9 minutes on a guy on the field. Nobody can get back up and play the game.
I've never seen that where they've actually canceled the game because of an injury on the field, but that wasn't really an injury. That was, a heart attack.
We thought he might have died. I mean, we thought he
Yeah.
might have actually died before he
He was
left the
probably
field.
dead at one point there.
Whew, I mean, his heart stopped. And look, you gotta understand, people, right now is not the time for your conspiracy theories, okay? He did not just, drop suddenly for no reason. There was a reason. There was a hit and then the drop. Okay. There's almost every cardiologist that has weighed in on this has said this is a cardiac contusion, most likely from a trauma to the chest. And those of you who are like, oh, they're wearing pads and what, all equipment has failure rates. All equipment can break. You don't know the angle that this was done. Look, I'm telling you that this, I believe we will find out. No, please stop saying that, you guys. Please stop saying it in the chat. I know what you want to believe. And it may have been a typical hit, but it was just a hit at the right spot at the right time. So not only can this happen with a trauma to the chest, but if it has to be in exactly the right millisecond of the electrical spike. So the spikes are going up, down, and it has to happen just as it starts to rise. And if you get a hit right then, it will stop your heart. You will go into cardiac arrest. And I think that's what happened. 87
Yeah.
Sparky, thanks for the super chat, says, did you hear about the AG getting fired because she opened the case of JP Morgan dealing with Epstein? No, I haven't. Send me links. I would like to read about that. Thanks for the super chat. Chosen One says, confirm my bias. Yeah, see, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants their bias to be confirmed. And within seconds of this happening last night, I had so many people tweeting to me, hashtag died suddenly. And I got to tell you guys, please calm down. Please stop, because these things happen and it is very rare. Yes, but we still don't have all the details. What we do know, let me tell you what we do know, because you know how I feel about fake news. Here's what we know. Damar Hamlin took a hit to the chest. Also, if you notice, and I'm going to play the video for you because I do believe it's important to watch it. I don't think it's disrespectful to watch the injury because there are questions. He also, after he went down, he fell on top of the guy's helmet right here. So it could have been the hit or it could have been the fall on top, but then he got right up and he fell right over. He was up for like a couple seconds and then he fell right over. Another interesting thing about this cardio contusion is that it will also cause a blackout because your blood pressure will drop very fast, which is why I think he passed out. No, he is not dead. He is in the hospital. Sorry, I should have led with that. He is in the hospital. He was intubated. They put him into a coma last night. Now that was an induced coma. Everybody was like, well, not breathing on your own is not good. That's true. But I believe he was breathing on his own when they got to the hospital and they decided to put him into an induced coma. He's in critical condition. He has had a cardiac arrest. That's what they're calling it, which is exactly what would happen in this particular case. Now, I've got a doctor here who will tell you what he thinks happened. Let's first watch. Yeah, let's watch that first, and then we'll watch the fallout after that. But here's a video from a cardiologist who's going to tell us his idea of what happened here. And almost every cardiologist I've seen comment on this has the exact same explanation, that they think this is what happened. Okay, hold on. Let me get this up on the screen. All right, and let's embiggen it so you guys can see it.
Collapse straight down. So their football tackle, we don't really see very much coming through here. So if you're looking right through here, at this point, nothing, and everything looks like a regular football play. It's only at this point does he go down and just collapse straight down. So If we rewind this a little bit here, you'll see he makes the tackle, and then he's able to get up with his own power, and then it's only after a second here that he collapses. So what happened? Well, that's direct trauma, also known as comedo cordis, resulting in a cardiac contusion that puts you in cardiac shock, sending you into ventricular fibrillation, otherwise known as VFib. And this is an electrical pulse that doesn't allow the heart to fully contract, and this is what ends up happening, where the blood and the nutrients and oxygen can't get to where it needs to go, resulting in a collapse, and this is what happens. So this is where the medical staff needs to implement CPR and an AED at the time to basically revive him from this fatal arrhythmia or electrical beat, which is what this is. So
in order for commotio cordis to happen, you have to suffer this blunt chest trauma at exactly the right moment, which is really within milliseconds of a time window. This is a rhythm strip that shows one cycle of the heart squeezing, and you have about 72 of these a minute on average. So you have the P waves where the atriums contract. You have this QRS complex, that is where your ventricles contract. And then subsequently you have this T wave, which is, we call it ventricular repolarization. That's when the ventricles are resetting. The player would have to have chest trauma at this specific moment to be sent into arrhythmia.
At this point, it's hard to really say what the prognosis is. This is where you look at from a cardiac workup standpoint, and we kind of go from there. There's really no timetable from a return standpoint until he gets a full cardiac workup.
Okay, and look, the reason why I'm bringing this up and saying, hold your horses before speculating about, whether it had to do with other things, myocarditis, that sort of thing, it's not because I don't believe that that's happening, because obviously that's happening to a lot of people, but it makes for, we have to actually talk about what's actually most likely, okay? Because it is most likely in this case that it was a very rare incidence of this known thing that happens if you take a hit to the chest, and he very clearly did. And the incident happened right after that. It was right after the trauma. So no, I don't believe that it had anything else to do with anything else. And I think that it is just going to piss people off, to be spreading this stuff around on Twitter and suggesting that it could be something else. Let's just wait and see what happened. And yes, the Bills were all required to get the jab. That's true. Almost all the NFL players were. But I really don't think that this is the case. I think that it has happened. You guys are pointing out, some of you in the chat, in youth baseball. It's more common in baseball because you're not wearing protection. But it has actually happened. So I think everybody just needs to calm down. The point is, last night was very hard to watch. What no one in football is ready, by the way, to cover something like this. They're not news people. They are literally sportscasters, and they had a very hard time last night, even just talking. I mean, several of the announcers were tearing up. They didn't know what to say. They were completely, lost for words. And there was one guy who did a really good job talking about it, and I thought he was really worth watching again. His name is Ryan Clark, and I thought Ryan did a really good job, and I just wanted to play some of what he said for you guys last night, because this was great.
There was no more playing again tonight, Eve. There was no more next play, because for Damar Hamlin, there may not ever be a next play. For Damar Hamlin, they may not ever be another breath. These men tonight, in all their years of football, saw something they had never seen. And I heard Lisa Salters talk about what they had to witness. Everybody is going through this right now. Damar Hamlin's mother, Nina, had to come down out of the stands and ride to the hospital with her baby. Yeah, I know he's 24 years old, but it's never going to change what he means to her. This is about a brother. This is about a son. This is about a cousin. This is about a homeboy. This is about a teammate. This isn't about a football player. The lives of Damar Hamlin and his family, the lives of the Buffalo Bills, the lives of the Cincinnati Bengals are forever changed tonight in a split second. That's how fast it can happen. And so something that you've always wanted to do your entire life, something that you've loved, something that you said to everybody around you, I would give anything to have this. We saw Damar Hamlin do that. And all I can say, looking at the faces of all those players, thinking about my reaction, listening to you even try to answer or trying to pose this question to me, Eves, is that we were not ready for this. We were not prepared for this. When you decided to prepare for this show and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and talk about the Buffalo Bills, you were ready to talk about Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. You were ready to talk about these great defenses. You were not ready to talk about a 24-year-old young man possibly losing his life. And I said this on the phone tonight in my room, talking to Marcus Spears. I said at 24, I didn't even know I could die. And this young man is faced with that, playing a game he loves. Eves, we're not emotionally equipped to handle this, right? Like we're struggling to do a job talking about what happened to Damar Hamlin tonight. And so imagine being his teammate. Imagine spending more time with Damar Hamlin than you do your own family. Sean McDermott sees Damar Hamlin more than he sees his own children, more than he sees his own wife during this time. These are all men that spend time together, growing together, making sure that one another is all right, doing whatever you have to do for your brother. And you are now put in the hopeless position of being absolutely helpless. There is nothing that anyone in a Bills uniform, nothing that anyone in a Bills hat can do to help Damar Hamlin. And you have to live with that. As a man who has built himself up both emotionally, mentally, physically, to be the baddest dude in the world, whenever asked to be the baddest dude in the world, you have somebody you genuinely love and you can't do anything to help him. You have to watch as he can't even breathe for himself. That's not what we're prepared to deal with, Eves. I've seen ACLs. I've seen broken legs. I've seen dudes' face masks get cut off their helmets and they get strapped down the tables. And I'm thinking and waiting for the thumbs up because I know if you give me the thumbs up, at least you're okay enough. Damar Hamlin couldn't do any of those things. And he's 24 years old. He woke up to play a game. For him, this was just about going out and living a dream. Right? He started 14 games this year. He didn't think he'd be in this position, but it's all he's ever wanted to do. And you're getting that opportunity on prime time. And I've played this sport, Ease. All you ever think about is the good stuff. No one ever visualizes the bad. But I've also been laying in the hospital bed when Troy comes to the hospital and just cries with me for 2 hours because he doesn't know if I'm ever going to get out of that bed. But at least at that point, I could talk to him. I could communicate with him. When Stephon Diggs gets out of the car and he's telling the policeman, I just want to go in and see my friend. I just need to know if he's all right. Unfortunately, he's going to get in there and he's still not going to know that he's all right. He doesn't just get to come out of surgery for his shoulder and be okay. Like that's not what we wake up to do in this game. That's not what we've been conditioned to move on from. And that's evident when Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor meet in the middle of the field or they meet in the tunnel and they say that we can't go do this. They couldn't put these men back out on the field to do something they've been built to do their whole lives because no one should have to deal with what Damar Hamlin is dealing with tonight.
Yeah, he was the only one who had anything to say that wasn't just completely like
Cliche.
they just couldn't even they just couldn't come up with anything to say because they're not prepared for that. And yes, we are going to get to the Idaho murders in a minute, but I just wanted to start with breaking news because we do breaking news here, and this is Damar Hamlin was hit last night at the Bills game and then had a cardiac arrest, and it was very, very scary, and the game was canceled, which does not happen in the NFL. Very, very rare. Yes, there is a murder update. Don't worry. We're going to get into it. I have so much. I have so much in my stack of stuff, but I just wanted to give everyone the update. And by the way, Bills fans and Bengals fans came to the hospital last night. They had a candlelight vigil there. They're still there. They actually have a lot of police presence to do crowd control because apparently more and more people are showing up. The bank building downtown Cincinnati changed its colors, lights on top of the building last night from orange to blue. And the entire NFL fandom and also NFL teams, everybody's pulling for Hamlin to make a full recovery, and we certainly hope that he does. So say some prayers. And the reason why I say don't jump to conclusions about, your opinions and biases about certain therapies, shall we say, is because it just seeks to further divide people politically. And this is really not about politics. This is about someone getting seriously hurt, who we seriously hope makes a full recovery. And I think we should all wait and be circumspect about it and just wait for the facts to come out, and we can talk about and argue about it later, because certainly I agree with many of you who are concerned about the therapies we were in question. I agree with many of you on that, that I personally didn't do it myself, but I don't think that this is going to prove to be one that is related. Let me get to the super chats here about this, and then we'll move on to Idaho. Flux says it was a really hard hit direct to the chest. Yep. And in fact, when it happened, and everybody going, it wasn't that hard of a hit. When it happened, I saw it, and I went, oh, I didn't like that. But then he got up, and I was like, okay, it's good. And then boom. Oh, yeah, it was a hard hit. It was absolutely a hard hit. 87 Sparky, thanks for the super chat. Says just sent it to you on Twitter. Okay, I'll make sure that I check for that. Hello Kitten, thanks for the super chat. Says hello, thank you, Megan. Love. Alrighty, me too. Love you too. Justin Wright says the Bills team got a view of what us veterans go through at times. I hope they will be okay. They need to speak with friends who have been in country. It will help. Yeah, I think we could all see that they were traumatized. They were very seriously traumatized, and it was tough to watch. That's how I knew something was terribly wrong. Was all of a sudden the guys were turning away from the huddle, and they were looking like they had seen something horrific. And I was like, holy crap, what's happening? And that's when they said they were doing CPR on him. And it was just a really terrible moment last night. We sat there in shock, just staring at the TV.
Well, that wasn't a football injury. I mean, you used to, like the guy said,
Right.
broken legs, knees,
ACL.
and all that stuff, but that wasn't a football injury.
No, it was, and then what was also not football about it, which was the crazy part, is that when the announcers just couldn't come up with anything to say, at some point I said, all right, turn it over to the news. Turn this to the news. This is a news story now. This is actually not a football story. This actually just became a national news story. So get the cameras and the crews outside the stadium and turn it over to them, because whenever they would go to them, it was always so much smoother. They would give you the facts about, well, the ambulance left here at this time, it came at this time, they did this, and then we waited for his mother, and then it left, and then we would get more information. But the announcers, they'd go back to him, and they were just like, they didn't know what to say.
They were stunned.
They were stunned, and it was hard to watch. It was like, why would you make them sit there and continue doing this when they don't even know what to say? Yes, they did keep going to commercials. I had something to say about that too, because a lot of people were complaining that, oh my God, they're profiting off of this terrible tragedy. You don't know how it works. And I used to work in radio, and so advertisement is what drives the station, right? I used to actually I was the one who I would schedule the commercials, because you have to put them in certain times, and then I would take the tapes, because this was a long time ago. I would take the tapes that were the commercials and run them up to the station manager, who would then give them to the tech guy, and they would throw them in where they were supposed to. When something like this happens, the amount of chaos that goes on in the scheduling in the ad placement is indescribable. I feel sorry for the assistants like me, who are now going to have to play as many of those as possible at the time when they were scheduled. They're going to have to give credits to everybody who didn't get their commercials played, and then reschedule. Hopefully whenever this game is replayed, they'll just kind of stick them in there. But I mean, it's a real issue. It's not like someone's just trying to profit. They've already taken the money. Okay, they've taken the money from the advertisers. They owe those advertisers something. They have to put them in there. And what else were we going to do? To watch the field? I mean, I didn't think it was an issue. I don't think they were doing it to be insensitive. This is simply the way television works. And if you want to have television that's free for you, you have to have commercials, period. That's how they get paid.
Yeah, and everything is planned, and all of a sudden here's something that's turning it upside down. There's nothing
Oh, yeah.
planned.
It's planned down to the second,
I
Joe,
know.
down to the second. So when you have, you hear on the radio sometimes I was a bit long. We're going to go into a bigger commercial break now because I went too long. It's no joke. You have to play those commercials at the time specified, and then you have to prove to the advertiser that you played it at that time. So then we would get reports. Okay, yours played at 10:12 a.m. This one was at 11:12 a.m. And this is important. It's important to the business. It's how it runs. Yes, they did cancel the game. It was temporarily suspended, but then we figured out it was not going forward. I mean, no one could come back on that field. Everyone was shaken up. The NFL today is getting a whole lot of pressure to. Last night we were all saying cancel the game, and it took them a long time. I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt that it probably took a while because there are a lot of moving parts. Most likely, they didn't think he was as harmed as he was. Nobody knew what had happened. And so I'm sure that they were trying to hold out as long as they could to see maybe we're going to get a thumbs up. Maybe we're going to get good news that he's going to be okay and everybody can go back on the field. That just didn't happen. And so then they eventually just canceled the game, obviously. And no, Mr. Terrible, your name checks out. They're not snowflakes. Everybody was traumatized. I mean, now I did hear that back in 1960 something, a guy died on the field and they carted him off and played the game. But look, I don't think that there's anything heroic about that. It's just a game. Okay, when it comes down to it, it really is just a game, and there is a guy's life at stake, and his friends are worried, and his family is worried. I don't want to see people play a game at that point. I want to go home. I want to stop this now, and like we'll do it a different day. And I think that was the right call. And I think everybody who's like pissed off at Roger Goodell, like enough, like they did the right thing. The NFL is now saying they never said that they were giving him 5 minutes to get back on the field. They're saying we didn't say that, and I'm thinking you probably did, but I think we can all forgive because nobody knew what was really going on.
Well, if I remember hearing about somebody dying on the field. I don't remember that happening, but I remember hearing about it. How about the Heidi game? They have to think, what the audience reaction is going to be. Remember the Heidi game in the 60s? That was
No.
NBC, the Raiders and the Jets. Raiders were down like about 10 points, about a minute and 30 seconds to go. And they went to Heidi at 6 o'clock. And the Raiders came back and won the game.
And no,
everybody went nuts.
Well, look, I think personally, I think that I think it was the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do is just postpone the game. I know it's a really critical time. We're going into the playoffs, but we're just going to have to move on with it.
I think they did the right thing. I think that was exactly right what they did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it wasn't just the Bills either. The Bengals team members were crying too. Like it was very traumatic, you guys. And I remember one of the first responders that I saw responding on Twitter said, look, as a first responder, and I've done CPR on people, witnessing that is pretty traumatic for people, and it's hard to come back from. There's no way I could have played a game after that. So I think it's fine. No, nobody wanted to finish the game. Nobody wanted to finish it. So that's the update that I have. Keep praying for Damar because, oh, by the way, thank you, Turkina. I agree with you, Megan. She says, leave the politics out and just send prayers. Yeah, now is not the time. We just need to be helpful to him and his family if we can. And one of the things that did happen was that Damar was raising money he was raising $2,500. So sweet. He was raising $2,500 for a daycare facility. So his mom apparently raised him and like worked 3 jobs to make sure he could get his football dreams, right? And his mother, one of the things she did was daycare. And he has this little daycare in Pennsylvania where he's from, where I guess he's friends, or maybe it's someone his mother knows, I'm not sure, but he was raising money for a toy drive, and their goal was $2,500. Well, what do you think it is today, Joe?
$3 million, I heard last night.
$3.5 million has been raised for this charity that this is Damar Hamlin. Let me make this bigger. I can't play this whole I can't play the music on all of it because I think it might be copyrighted.
What's up? It's Damar Hamlin, back at the hometown, back at the crib. 3rd annual toy drive, man. We're doing it for the kids, having a good time, man. So let's get back to it.
All right, so this is his toy drive. These are the kids that he's raising money for, and he had a goal of $2,500. And this daycare just got a $3.5 million windfall. And last night I watched it going up. I couldn't even believe it. It was like 300,000, 600,000, 800,000. It was just skyrocketing. It makes you feel good. You know, people wanted to do something. People wanted to help, and it was a charity that he loves. And, you know, from all I read about Hamlin, he seems like a super nice kid, only 24 years old. So I hope he makes a full recovery. And I hope.
Well, the good thing here is he was on the field and got the attention. If he was somewhere else and this happened, you know, it could have been over for him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because he had the best medical people right there. You know, my husband, when they brought the ambulance on the field, he was like, oh my God, I've never seen this before in my life. I've never seen an ambulance on the field. I mean, it was shocking. It was sad. I was so worried that he wasn't going to make it. But to me, it sounds like he is going to make it. They're going to take their, last I heard, and I don't know if this is a confirmed report. It might not be confirmed. So I'll just put that out there. One of the reporters said that they believed they were going to try and take that tube out today to see if he could breathe on his own. That would make sense, because when you put someone in an induced coma, you don't keep them under for long. They do that for the body to get rest and to also do tests, so they're not upsetting the person. You know, they put them under. So it's possible. And the reason why they put the tube in is because of the general anesthesia that they have to put you under is so heavy that it can often interfere with breathing. So if they're bringing him out of that today, and they normally would bring you out pretty soon because they don't want you under for very long, I think that's a good sign. Let's just pray that he can breathe on his own. And if he starts breathing on his own, it's probably, we're looking at good recovery. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. All right. We will move on from that, but I did want to give you guys that update because that affected me last night. I'll tell you, I was very upset about it. I woke up this morning, immediately on Twitter, like, what's going on? Is he good? Is he okay? I mean, just awful. All right.
Well, I think he's past the danger point now. I mean, once you're in the hospital, and they've got you under control, you got a pretty good chance of survival. So.
Well, and his not his trainer, what do they call him? His manager said his stats were back to his vital stats were back to normal last night, and they just had to sedate him and put him on the breathing machine, for the tests and whatnot. And it's true that machine is kind of dangerous as well. I see you guys in the chat, I know, but let's just pray for better things. He's a young, strong man. Most likely he will recover from this. He will be okay. And the good news is, for the cardiologists who were talking about this particular injury, if it is what they say it is, most people do recover completely. So
yeah, it's not a heart ailment. It's not like he has a heart problem.
No, it was an accident. And so it won't, this isn't something, right. It isn't something that will continue to haunt him or anything. If he recovers, he'll recover. And let's just pray for the best, because that was just terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, the fake news that is out there about the Idaho suspect, Bryan Kohberger, is just out of control. Joe, I know you've been following this. What you've been reading all the articles. What are you getting out of it?
I read one last night. I couldn't believe it. They had him screaming about cutting everybody up. He was going to cut the guards up and everything. Then I look, what the hell am I reading? I don't even know where I'm reading this. This can't be even close to being true.
Yeah, let's start with the worst fake news we've ever heard in our lives, shall we? this
That was
was
a 50-year-old woman, right?
yeah, a 50-year-old crackhead, most likely. This was in the Daily Mail, and if you know anything about the Daily Mail,
Oh, it's horrible.
it's not exactly the best source, shall we say. Let me share this with you guys. In fact, my editor hates the Daily Mail. She's always like, if it's in the Daily Mail, we are not printing it. She doesn't want us using it. She's like, can you find it anywhere else, please? I
What's
mean,
funny are the comments.
oh God, I know. All right. So what do I always tell you guys? What are we always looking for here? We're always looking for what is and is not fake news. Fake news. And if you couldn't tell that this was fake news, let me show you how to spot it, okay? Because this is incredible. Exclusive, the Daily Mail says. You come in here and I'll cut you. Accused Idaho murderer Bryan Kohberger taunts guards, exposes himself, and sings violent rap lyrics as he sits in jail awaiting extradition over deaths of Idaho students, female inmate reveals. Does any of that sound plausible to any of you? Does this guy look like somebody who would be singing violent rap lyrics, for one? Like, come on now. I want to know, what kind of vetting did they do on this person who was allegedly in jail with him? 50-year-old Valerie Cipollina, who they don't tell you why she was in jail, by the way. And if I had to guess, it says here she was held for 6 hours on a domestic violence charge. There were probably drugs involved as well. The way this woman talks. Yeah, right? What do you think, Joe? You've dealt with enough
when I
people
started
that you
reading
arrested.
this, I had to go through it because I can't believe this actually happened. And then she's over there, he's trying to expose herself to her when you can't even see below his chest.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't. How do you
gonna
know what
expose
he's
him?
doing if you can't see? Then she says she couldn't see beneath his chest. Well, then how do you know he's
Maybe he
exposing himself?
levitated.
Look, we are at the point in this investigation where there are going to be all kinds of people trying to get famous and get their 15 minutes of fame to get on the news. And they will
Well,
say,
everybody has a conception of a murderer, especially like this, where he killed several people, as being somebody that looks different. And they don't. They look like everybody else.
they look like
They're your
everybody
neighbors.
else.
They're everybody. BTK guy you talked about was the next door neighbor. I mean, he was a nice guy,
Right.
And this guy, I mean, he looks kind of, when you're in a situation like that, you're not smiling. There's no personality. You're just looking at a blank picture of a picture of his blank face, but he just looks like everybody else,
Yeah. I find him a little off-putting, but that's just my interpretation of it. I can absolutely tell you that, yes, I'm sure I have biases going into it, looking at a picture. You know, his eyes creep me out a bit. I think there's something there. But other than that, he does look like anybody else. That's the other thing too, about there's so many myths about serial killers or killers in general. Um, we've seen enough pictures of these people to know that they do just blend in. There's no, well, on one hand they'll say, well, he was quiet and he kept to himself. On the other hand, the same, well, he was very charismatic. Ted Bundy, very charismatic. So
Yeah.
there's no real, you can't put a label on them and be like, well, those are the guys we're looking for. Literally, you don't know, and we will never know. That's the scary part about it. That's why it's so scary. So anyway, she says, Valerie Cipollina
This is funny.
has revealed exclusively to dailymail.com how Kohberger taunted guards, saying they were too scared to go in his cell. I'll cut them. I'll cut you, Kohberger yelled repeatedly, said Cipollina, who was held at the Monroe County Jail for 6 hours on a New Year's domestic violence charge. So she was drunk for sure when they brought her in.
Yeah.
So this
Drunk
is
or
the
high.
drunk or high. You come in here and I'll cut you, Kohberger. Cut her with what?
Yeah.
He's
Well, the
in-
guards would have to bring the knife.
He's in jail. I'm going to pee on your face. Do what you want with me. I don't give a shit. That works. Expected to believe that. And this is what she looks like. This is the woman who made these allegations, which And there's video of her. Wait till you see this. Let's watch this because this is hilarious.
And when we came in, it was like a total lockdown. Like nobody could be out or in, while he was in the cell. Like if he came out, we were in lockdown. He's singing songs that are violent.
Like what? What songs?
Okay, so like I'm gonna cut you up. There's one called Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, I'm gonna cut you up, mother.
What?
This,
Bad Bunny.
And I'll pee on your face. So that's usually by Bad Bunny or Snoop Dogg. My cell was on the right. If I went out and looked to the right, he was right on the right side. So I saw him clearly.
And he was sitting in a cell?
And he wasn't sitting; he was standing by the door, but you could still see him.
Oh, the plastic glass.
Yes.
So how far away were you from him?
If I was here, literally, maybe where this line is right here. He said, do what you want with me. I don't give a motherfucker. You ain't gonna do nothing to me because I'm gonna cut all you up.
Problem with this is it taints the jury.
Songs
well, yeah,
violent.
Of course, but I don't believe her. Do you believe her?
No, are you kidding? That's why I started reading it. I had a look. It was.
I don't believe her at all. That's absolutely absurd. She's totally lying. She's just lying. Bad Bunny or Snoop Dogg? Is Bad Bunny even a rap artist? I think this woman is a Bad Bunny fan. That's what I think. And I think
she wanted a minute of fame there. She.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because you know what I actually think. I think that the guards should come out and refute this. If that did not happen,
that's what I was wondering. I didn't see anything saying that.
I think that the guards who were there need to set the record straight because this is one of those things that will taint the jury pool. There's no jury yet. The jury are just watching this like everybody else. Okay. The jury is you or me or whoever's there who's going to get picked. And they're seeing and being exposed to this nonsense. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have a lawyer yet. He has a public defender that's dealing with the extradition. He's not really representing him as his lawyer because a defense attorney would go right at this and talk to those
people. He doesn't
people.
have one yet. He
Exactly.
doesn't have
He's not going to have one until he gets to Idaho.
That's right. He's not going to have one until he gets to Idaho. And all we know through the attorney in Pennsylvania is that Kohberger intends to plead not guilty. He is saying
you can't plead guilty in an arraignment. You can't do it. You have to plead not guilty.
Oh, well, and also, though, he's saying that he's looking forward to being exonerated.
Oh, yeah, they all say that.
I know they all say that, and I have no opinion on it whatsoever, other than he's got the presumption of innocence, and it's not okay. It's really not okay for the media to do this. It is not okay.
That was really a bad thing.
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it's not the only thing that they're doing. I mean, they are digging up every single person who's ever come in contact with this guy ever, or maybe hasn't come in contact with him. Who knows? These people could be lying out their teeth.
Yeah, you have no idea.
And I'm looking at the comments. You guys are making me laugh. That the media does not vet their sources. Yeah, I would be more likely to believe that he was singing "Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down." This is like your average white guy. I don't think that he was singing Bad Bunny. This is just absurd. It's absurd, and I hope that you guys can see through it. I hope you can see. Wait, who said it didn't? Did the guard say it didn't happen? Wait, I think I just missed something. It happened, but it was a different inmate.
All right, well, they have to defend themselves.
They really need to. They really need to. They really need to say something. I'm calling on the guards right now in that Monroe County jail. If this did not happen, if this woman is whack like we believe she is, and if she's some kind of drunk crackhead, you need to come out and say that. NF Caps, if you missed it, this is Joe Raffa. He is a retired veteran of the LA Sheriff's Department. He was on the homicide squad for 18 years, was it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he hangs out with me on Tuesdays sometimes. He sent me an email once telling me I was wrong about something, and then he landed on my show. See how that works?
That'll teach me.
He sent me an email yelling at me about something, and I was like, you should come on the show and yell at me in person.
No, I wasn't yelling at you. I just
disagreed,
that's all.
I know, I'm just teasing.
I'll learn.
Yeah, so let's see what else. What else? Okay, so let's go back to the list. All right, so here's some more things. Um mm, 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 mm. I've got this huge list. Okay, this is another one. Now, this one's a little more believable than that one. Okay, although I would like to suggest that these people who may be witnesses to something that he did, perhaps they should not go to the media with this information and instead go to the police. Joe, do you think that's probably a better
Well, that's
idea?
really important what you're talking about. If this guy's got a background, people knew him when he was young, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. They exhibit things that eventually become murderers. I mean, there's kids that the parents never see what they do, hurting animals and things like that. The other kids see it and don't think much of it at that age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. They don't make a big deal of it and they forget about it. And then something like this happens. That, geez, I knew that guy. I remember when he used to do this, that, or the other thing.
But
And that's
instead of going
important
to the
because it shows his
media,
background.
yeah, they need to go to the police, though. Any of
Oh,
you
yeah.
out there who know this man, and if you think you have something important, please go to the police. Please do not go to the media with this. Do not. For one, the media is trash. Okay, they're trash. They're trash people, and they will misrepresent your story anyway because they don't listen and they're lazy. And then it taints the jury. So if what you have is actually good information, you could end up being a witness. First of all, and if you have already gone to the press, well, now you're jeopardizing your witness, the potential to be a witness in the first place. You guys really need to quit
Yeah, your
doing this.
credibility suffers on that.
Yeah, don't go to the press, go to the police. And I'm kind of annoyed that this guy went to the police to the press instead of the police, because this is a man who works at a brewery in Pennsylvania. And this is actually
Oh,
something that,
is that the bar where he went into and talked?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it says Kohberger was arrested in his parents' home in Albrightsville, Monroe County, Pennsylvania, early Friday. Several months ago, Kohberger visited the Seven Sirens Brewing Company several times, harassing the women who worked there, according to Jordan Sorelnik, who is the owner. He says Kohberger, who usually sat alone at the bar observing and watching, stood out for his interactions with employees and patrons. The brewery, which scans everyone's IDs, had a system in which staff members can add notes or comments about a patron that will pop up on a screen whenever the ID is scanned again. Staff put in there, hey, this guy makes creepy comments, keep an eye on him. He'll have 2 or 3 beers and then just get a little too comfortable, he said. So Kohberger would ask women, staff, or customers who they were at the brewery with and where they lived, Sorelnik said. If the women weren't interested, he would get upset with them a little bit. In one instance, Sorelnik recalled that he called an employee a bitch when she declined to answer his questions. Sorelnik said he was forced to confront Kohberger during his final visit to the brewery. I went up to him and I said, hey, Bryan, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back. I just wanted to talk to you real quick and make sure that you're going to be respectful this time and we're not going to have any issues. He was shocked that I was saying that, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. You totally have me confused. And then he stayed for 1 beer and he never returned, he said. Now, this is information that might be very useful to police, but now that you've put it out there in the press, I don't know if they can use it or not.
They can probably use it, but now people are desensitized to it.
Well, and also,
who knows what he really did?
Right.
The other thing
Although
is,
it's pretty
the
good
press
that they
puts
made
things
notes.
out when you don't want them out. That's the other thing. If you want to try to keep something quiet, they're not going to keep it quiet. They're going to put it out there, and then it messes up what you're trying to do somewhere else that you didn't want people to know something, and then this exposes it, and you're stuck with it. You have to run with it when you didn't really want to.
I got to tell you too, I think to me this was pretty good. It was pretty good evidence because notes were made in the computer system with his ID. So that to me
it shows he's a jerk.
That to me is a little bit better than any of this other stuff that's come out as far as like people saying that he was one way or sick, because a lot of people have contradicted each other. Some people said he was quiet and a loner. Another person said that he was very outgoing and always trying to make friends. Well, that's two completely different pictures of the same person. So you're like, well, who's telling the truth? Is anybody telling the truth? But this,
or maybe they're both telling the truth,
or maybe maybe he was different in different places. Sure.
But this is nice because it's recorded. You know what I mean? They got somebody come up with another one.
American Drew says, Megan, I heard he went up to someone in a bookstore. All right, now listen, you people. Okay, Joe, this stems from a dating question we were dealing with some drama we were dealing with a week or so ago, where I said maybe those of you having trouble on these dating apps should just go to bookstores and find women there. And a lot of the guys were like, wait a minute, if we do that, then we get labeled creeps, right? We're the creep. And sure enough, now we have like this guy. Now every woman he ever approached is going to say, well, he came on to me. It was really creepy at a bookshop or an auto store or whatever. And look, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. The going up to them didn't get him in trouble. It really didn't. It didn't get him in trouble. What got him in trouble was getting arrested for murder. Okay. Now everyone's coming out with all this.
But then everybody's picture in their mind changes to him. Like you're saying, the stories start coming out and they embellish because now they know a guy that's famous. He's a murderer, and my testimony is going to be there. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
and they thrive on that.
That's the thing, is that now it's going to be every time anyone's ever had any interaction with this guy is going to be under a microscope. So anybody who's actually, there are a lot of people who are awkward talking to strangers. Okay. Being awkward. And by the way, none of these stories makes him a killer. Even the creepiness, even the stuff at the bar, maybe he doesn't know how to talk to people very well. That doesn't make him a murderer. It isn't a motive for murder. So none of this stuff actually means anything. None of these people's accounts are telling us anything. American Dreamer, thanks for the super chat, says, I actually told my son the exact same thing a week before. None of this stuff actually makes a person guilty. And a lot of it has nothing to do with the Idaho murders. So, and chosen one. Yeah, if he had problems with women before, those problems are about to go away.
Night Stalker got married in prison.
Oh, they all do. So many of them get married. It's ridiculous. If you need to answer that, you can.
No, I got it on Do Not Disturb.
Okay. He will absolutely.
No, it doesn't work.
He will absolutely get marriage proposals in prison, which is terrible. American Dreamer, you said you told him to go to a bookstore and he laughed, but said he would. Well, it doesn't hurt to try. Look, I don't know. I can't tell anybody how to approach a woman that isn't creepy or that some woman won't find creepy, because everybody's different, But I think a lot of people will actually do want to talk to, they do want to be approached. They do want to meet somebody, and they just don't know how. New dating advice: go to prison.
As I said, the Night Stalker got married in prison. So
many of them do. So many.
And he wasn't even cute.
No, the Night Stalker, women think he's totally attractive. I have no idea why. I mean, if he doesn't open his mouth, I guess his face is attractive. Go to the bookstore and pick up a book, Dating for Dummies.
Dating for Dummies.
Yes, Sinbad makes a very good point.
They have one like that?
Serial killers can act anyway. Most are either socially inept or a charismatic charmer. It could be anybody, literally anybody.
There is no definition of a serial killer.
Okay, that brings me to the world's foremost expert on serial killers. Did you know who this is, Joe? Have you ever heard of Catherine Ramsland?
Catherine, I think that's the daughter. Is that the
no, that's not the daughter. Catherine Ramsland is the teacher.
Yeah, I read that. I didn't know her before.
Catherine Ramsland is she's the world's foremost authority on serial killers. That's what she wants you to believe. She's written over 60 books on murder, on serial killers, and apparently she's the expert, and she should know a serial killer when she sees one. However, She was teaching Bryan Kohberger in her class. So if Kohberger turns out to be this kind of killer, I think we should throw out all the experts that have ever claimed to be an expert.
Well, that was another thing you brought up about him talking to her, to the BTK killer, went to prison, went to the prison.
She wrote his autobiography with him. She developed a 10-year friendship and relationship with him. And when she talks about him in interviews, she is in fact, she refuses to say that evil exists. She says you have to be very non-judgmental when you talk to serial killers or any kind of killers. She is very reticent to say that there's anything, terrible about these people other than they're, deviant from the norm. She has a strange way to look at this. And I guess if you want them to talk to you, you do have to approach it in a non-judgmental way. But let me show you what it says on Rate My Professor about Katherine Ramsland, which I thought was pretty interesting. She's a professor at DeSales University. She teaches psychological forensics or something. I don't know. She's a psychology professor, but her specialty is in serial killers. So we have a couple of awesome, all good, awful. Dr. Ramsland is very knowledgeable and seems to want you to do good. However, her grading is tough and feedback is very critical. Exams are tough. I got points off in an assignment that was based on my opinion because mine didn't align with hers. Very interesting class, but tough professor. More awesome, good, had her she was extremely intimidating the first time I had her. Once you get to know her and her odd sense of humor, she's great. 1, awful. She's definitely full of herself, that's for sure. Everything is I did this and I did that and I knew this person, can get really annoying. Class content is interesting though, except when she constantly tries to discredit other criminologists. Tough grader, tests are difficult. By the way, Ramsland has been in over 200 true crime documentaries. She loves to be on television. As the news broke, well, watch the BTK documentary on Hulu. She's in it, all over it. Here's another one that says awful. Assignments are not clear, vague instructions, expects too much from her students, expects you to be at her level from day one. Feedback too critical, not constructive, intimidating. Toughest grader, doesn't give you the tools to be successful. No grading criteria given, waste of time. If you want to study forensic psych, go to another college. 2.0, awful, very full of herself, expects 1,000 from every student. Love the class material, but Ramsland made me hate it due to her ridiculous expectations in grading. I will never take another course by her. Here's another one that says, very knowledgeable of the subject matter, but she is extremely egotistical and not very supportive of students. She does not give much positive or constructive criticism, only highly critical comments pointing out what is incorrect. Some of her grading practices are ridiculous. I wouldn't take her again if I had a choice. This one says, this woman is a total egomaniac. This keeps coming up. I mean, this is like what, the fifth or sixth one? Good luck getting...
If you grade on opinion and you don't like the other person's opinion, that's not really very educational.
I like this. Good luck getting her to remember who you are. Even better luck finding her if she's your advisor. Her classes consist of talking about herself and having you read about her. Granted, she is knowledgeable in her field. One of DeFale's golden gods. Just do your best on her tricky tests. Average, took her criminal profiling class. She's very smart and uses her own book for the class. She is a great writer, but she can be a little full of herself and loves to drop names of high-up FBI profilers. Her exams are hard, but if you study hard, there's no reason you can't get an A. Terrible, awful. Her name is Vampy, and she is just that, a blood-sucking something who thinks she's perfect, but in reality is far from it. She's a walking fallacy. She's the definition of intimidation. I have no doubt in my mind that she could get away with murder. Wow.
Maybe she was complicit with this
guy. Wait, I'm getting to it. I'm getting there. There's more.
You're deviant, you know.
She was great in knowledge with what she does, but I found it quite annoying that she feels all other psychology parts are false. While she knows her stuff, I think she shows too many movies in her class. She has great experience, but isn't the best teacher. Good professor, knows her stuff. Interesting lectures on psychology and forensics. Exams extremely hard, though. Make sure you get the study guides. Good professor. Oh, wait, same one. Wait, there's more. There's more. Oh, and by the way, these were all written before. You can see the dates on here. This is before this.
Yeah.
These are all in 2005, 2004. She was kind of scary. She got into murderers a little too much. Didn't like her teaching approach too much either. Watched a lot of movies and took notes. She was my professor at one semester that I lasted at DeSales, one of the most unavailable faculty members at this university. It was like pulling teeth just to meet up with this woman so she could sign my transfer papers. More average. She's the best. Love her subject matter.
But she's average.
This is my favorite one. She was kind of scary. She got into murderers a little too much. And you know what's interesting? I started watching some of her stuff on her true crime stuff to see, like, what is she like? What is this woman like? I mean, she's already had now she's connected to two, well, if Kohberger did it, connected to two heinous killers at least. And she's supposed to be the one who knows. She's supposed to be the one who recognizes. And I think if she could be teaching one in her own class and not get any clues whatsoever, perhaps we should throw all of this forensic psychology just out. Maybe we should just throw it out. Maybe she
The reality is that they become interesting when they get arrested for murder. Before that, nobody thinks a thing about them. How do you know?
Exactly. And so I was listening to her. I thought I put the YouTube link in here. I guess, did I not? I thought I had it here. Hold on, because there was a great, let me see if I can find it. See if I can find it, because yeah, you know what? Hey guys, will one of you out there please monitor Law and Crime or Court TV, because I think that his hearing this morning is supposed to be live. So hold on. Let me actually look up Court TV. I don't want to miss it if it is. I don't know what time it was supposed to be. Let's see. If you guys will do that and just let me know.
Serial killer groomer. One of the people.
Serial killer groomer. Yeah, like, wait a minute. I mean, I just had this great idea when I was putting all this together. I was like, what a great novel this would make. She's like, no, she's the one training them, right? She's the one, she's orchestrating it. You got this weird
You're on a book.
Yeah, but I this would make a great fiction. This woman who's like everybody thinks that she's the expert on serial killers, and really she's the one she's making them do it, right? Directing them, yeah, and then teaching courses on it and writing books about it, and like she's got this empire built up. She's on 200 different documentaries. I mean, it's great. It would be a great story. I'm not suggesting that Ramsland had anything to do with it. I'm just saying it would make a terrific
movie. She turns out to be,
be a terrific movie.
The mother of serial murders.
Yeah. So Law and Crime. Let me see. Law and Crime. I think it was Law and Crime actually that had her on before this. Now she's refusing to speak to anyone. She's saying she's not allowed to talk about this. She's probably going to be a witness, I would expect, and she's doing the thing that she should do, which is not talk to the press.
Right.
Be
an expert witness.
Wait. Is he in court right now?
Oh my gosh.
Did we miss it? I think we did. Hold on. Let me go back. They're live right now on Law and Crime. So let me see. All right, let's see what we have here. We're going to go over to Law and Crime. I think it hasn't started yet, but it's going to. They have a footage of him walking into court in a jumpsuit. Let's see. Which, of course, that doesn't taint the jury pool at all, does it?
The orange jumpsuit.
The orange, yeah.
With the finger pointing, it's me.
Yeah.
Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin, and
so I backed it up a little bit.
Senselessly murdered in a home off of campus. His son
Okay,
is
so
to be
here he
brought
is.
back to Idaho to answer
Oh,
Here's the
in
footage.
Pennsylvania later this afternoon, where he will waive extradition and then be brought back to Idaho to answer to those murder charges. Through his attorney, he has said that he hopes to be exonerated. He claims that he is innocent of these charges. Bryan Kohberger lived just a short distance away from Moscow, Idaho, about 10 miles away.
And, all right, we don't need to hear any of this.
Prior to the indictment and be held on that. And then, so, I mean, there's a lot of moving process.
That's the attorney for one of the families.
Also the host of the Body
I have not seen what time
police have.
this is supposed to be happening, but I'll keep an eye on this so that if it goes live, we will know. But yeah, that's going to happen later this afternoon. If any of you in the chat can figure out what time this is happening, that would be
He
great.
hasn't left Pennsylvania yet. He's still in Pennsylvania.
Oh, now you're saying, oh, Laura, you're saying 3:30. Oh God, I won't be here at 3:30. I'm not going to be doing this that long today. So 3 p.m. Maybe I'll jump back on and cover it live when it is, but I'm not going to stay here till that long. That's crazy. But okay, I'll keep an eye on it. So, you know, it's an interesting thing because we all want the murderer, whoever it is, to be brought to justice. At the same time, I find myself very concerned about people getting a fair trial in this country. And sometimes the media behaves in ways that I think is impossible for a person to get a fair trial. I mean, they're going to have to go way out. This story is national, and people are hanging on every single, story that comes out.
And how do you refute what the press says when you're in court?
Yeah,
you've got no way to go out
and you don't. So all these pre-trial hearings are going to happen before the trial, and they're going to decide what's admissible, right? And the judge is going to decide what is admissible and what isn't. Well, lots of this stuff will not be admissible in court.
And
Then
the jury's not going to hear it.
The jury's not going to hear it. And then all of the people who saw all of this stuff leading up are going to be like, what? How can that not be admissible in court? But the truth is, you have to trust the process, because there are plenty of things that should not be admissible in court and have to be, in order to have a fair trial. They can't be, like all of this hearsay garbage that we've been listening to about his classmates are saying, and that this is saying. And then, speaking of, before we get to the classmate issue, because I had a run-in with one of his classmates. Let's go to the BTK killer's daughter, because she posted on Twitter that she is very concerned that Bryan Kohberger may have been communicating with her father.
I have an opinion on it. I want to talk to you about that too.
Well, now's the time. Let me know. What do you think? Because
you brought up the fact that what you're talking about now, that he went and talked to him. Now he has a master's in criminal justice, and he's getting a PhD in criminal behavior.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to study criminal behavior, you're not going to go talk to your priest. You're going to go talk to the guy that does the crimes.
Exactly. And the fact that he had Ramsland as a professor who has this relationship with BTK, that's the thing, I think, that makes people go, and I think that's what made BTK's daughter feel like, because
that shouldn't incriminate him. That's my point.
No, it shouldn't incriminate him, although I guess we would have to find out what were those communications, what were the communications like, what was the context of the communications, if they even happened. We don't know that they happened.
And you're not going to get that anyway.
Right. If it is evidence, but here's what BTK killer's daughter posted on Twitter that I wrote about on pjmedia.com. I'll drop some links for you guys in a minute for all the stuff that I've been writing, because I've been writing a lot about it. This is BTK killer's daughter. Her name is Carrie Rawson. She says, Dr. Catherine Ramsland was one of Bryan Kohberger's professors in criminology studies at DeSales University, where he earned a master's degree last spring. Ramsland has, or did have, a close academic relationship and friendship with my father, Dennis Rader, BTK. I have ongoing concerns knowing how common it is for criminology students, true crime fans, and others to correspond regularly with my father, that Kohberger could have been in contact with my father at some point, but require proof of this, which I currently do not know of. My father and his many murders are studied intensively in the field of criminology. I believe strongly in the training of future law enforcement, criminology, and forensic minds, and give lectures myself to further education in these fields. My father graduated with a bachelor's in criminal justice from Wichita State University, making a mockery of this important field, using his college courses to study his own ongoing murders and get access to LE information in the 1970s. My thoughts have been with the victims' friends and families and law enforcement since news broke of this horrific crime, and my thoughts are also with Kohberger's friends and family. At this time, it's my hope that justice will be fully served. The ripples of one man's horrific actions will be felt for generations, affecting not only the families, but the wider Idaho community, the supporting law enforcement and criminology communities. We must continue to work together to seek answers to these crimes, stop these predators quicker, and find ways to prevent these crimes from happening at all. So there's no proof that he's actually been in communication with BTK, but what she's saying is, I know that my father has these interactions with criminology students, and that he had Ramsland as a professor makes me think he probably did.
was.
Now there's an interview with her that I want to pull up here as well. That's pretty interesting. We can watch. I feel bad for this girl. I mean, can you imagine your dad?
I know.
It comes out that your dad is BTK. And I've seen interviews with her before where she talked about how she had a very hard time reconciling that her father was BTK because he didn't have any of that. He never showed his family any of that side of him. They
Right.
had a good home life. There was no abuse. She said her father was her best friend.
Yeah, well, father-daughters,
It's
a
very
unique
scary.
combination.
Yeah, very scary. So let's listen in to BTK daughter's
One of
views
the
here.
most disturbing aspects of Bryan Kohberger's past is what he was studying, criminology, and who he was studying under at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. Dr. Catherine Ramsland, a serial killer expert who had a close relationship with serial killer BTK, even writing his autobiography.
What did you first think when you heard that Dr. Ramsland was teaching Bryan Kohberger?
Personally, my first reaction was just like my stomach churned, and I literally physically got ill, knowing that there was now a connection back to Ramsland, and she connects to my father. It was just a lot.
Carrie Rawson is serial killer.
Can I say that the way that Carrie talks about Ramsland, I don't think she likes her very much.
Not at all. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you can tell. I don't. Yeah, and by the way, you guys in the chat are asking, did Catherine ever really meet him? Yeah, I just watched the documentary last night. She spent a lot of time on the phone with him. I don't know if she ever met him face to face, but she was absolutely in communication with him. Naughty One, thanks for the Rumble rant. You said YouTube would not allow this. This woman is a serial killer groupie with a degree. The way she panders to them is disturbing, and she really romanticizes serial maggots. And you're talking about Ramsland. And I kind of agree with you. One of the things that disturbed me while I was watching the BTK documentary was that many times when Catherine was talking about him and the terrible crimes that he committed, she was smiling. And for God's sake, I couldn't figure out for the life of me why she had this smile on her face when she was talking about these horrific crimes and about his motivations, and she really seems to enjoy it a lot, which is what got me thinking about this book. It would be a fantastic movie or something.
Great movie.
But to have this, forensic psychologist be the real bad guy in the picture. But it is weird. Can we call the guy the Moscow Maggot again? Yes, absolutely. The Moscow Maggot. We can absolutely.
That's another thing with the press. They always come up with these names that really incriminate the poor guy before he even gets to court.
I know. I feel bad calling him that because we don't know if he did it yet. I haven't even seen the evidence yet. We still haven't seen what the police, how they connected him to this case.
Why is that? They said something about in Idaho they can't release information till after the
extradition,
prelim, I guess, or the arraignment or whatever.
The extradition. Once he comes to Idaho and he's in front of the Idaho judge, we were told that they would release the arrest papers. So we're going to see what was the warrant for, what those sorts of things. Like, how did they get the warrant for the arrest? We'll see that.
The affidavit.
But yeah, the affidavit. But I am betting that we will not see very much more than that. That'll be it. And they're
an affidavit is supposed to be skimpy. You want to release as little information as you can, but still make your point.
Yeah, they're gonna clam up after that too. We're gonna get that and nothing else. Flux, thanks for the super chat. Says she teaches too well. Yeah, I mean, like, is that part of the problem? Is this woman who's taught all these classes and like done? Is this guy the only one she's inspired?
That's what I was going to see. Have any other people that sprouted out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I did start looking into how many serial killers had criminal justice degrees or studied criminal justice, and surprisingly, there were more than a few. Now, I guess that doesn't mean we have to stop criminal justice, education, but I don't know. It seems odd to me that a woman who says she's the expert on everything couldn't spot a guy, right in front of her if he's the guy.
Dennis Rader, aka BTK's daughter. BTK stands for Bind, Torture, Kill, and Rader is responsible for killing 10 people.
Do you think he may have had any sort of communication with your father?
Kohberger could definitely have had communication with my father. Well, obviously, we know he studied my father in criminology classes. He probably studied him heavier since he had Ramsland as a professor. But we need to find out if there's a deeper connection. It concerns me.
A deeper connection, like if Kohberger was corresponding with BTK in prison. He would have had access because of his professor, Dr. Ramsland, who's appeared in more than 200 crime documentaries and was even on News Nation in October discussing the Delphi case.
Help explain to me the mindset of a killer living in a community where they have carried out allegedly this heinous act.
Well, if it is the person, the suspect that they have under arrest right now, he was married, so he would have had to have secrets.
Dr. Ramsland is known for her TV appearances, but she's not talking now. When I asked her about Kohberger, she responded, "I cannot make media statements about him at this time." For Carrie Rawson, the nightmare in Idaho has now come full circle.
I want to figure out how to stop it. Like, it's hard to be the kid of this guy and live with this, and then see somebody else go do this and wonder, did your dad influence him? Did your dad talk to him? Like, was he studying my father outside of academics? I mean, am I ever going to get answers to that? I don't know.
And DeSales University released a statement initially saying that they are heartbroken by the senseless tragedy. We followed up with...
Yeah, so tough, really tough to be the kid of a serial killer, I imagine. Really hard. And yeah, I would be concerned about the same thing. I would be concerned about the very same thing that she is, because if he is known for talking to criminology students, it's very possible that Kohberger was communicating with him. And I hope those communications, if they exist, I hope they were retained.
He might have taped them when he was talking. If he was doing it for his
then he for sure would have recorded
PhD,
it.
he would have taped them.
Well, and if it were on the phone, they'd be recorded through the jail as well, because all
True.
of those phone calls are recorded.
Yeah.
If it were letters, I don't know. Did they take scans of those, Joe? Do you know if prisoners?
I never worked in the jail or prison, so I don't know how they do the mail. I don't think they do it in the jail. They do it in the prisons, though. I think they censor the mail, but I don't know if they do it periodically or every letter that comes through. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there
Lady Autumn Sky. So the tarot card reader might be right about a professor made the killer do it. She just got the wrong professor. Oh my gosh.
It's when you're conducting an investigation and you're looking at a particular suspect, you start to get information. We were talking about the DNA, what kind of DNA they have and all that.
Yeah.
You're pretty well focused. All of a sudden, everything comes to this point and you stay on it. Meanwhile, there are things going on around you may be missing. I mean, you have to be careful with that because you focus on the guy now because he's starting to fit everything you want him to fit, and you're not looking at somebody else, and he may not be your guy, you know. But until we know what they have on him when they start talking about it in Idaho, they're not going to talk about the trial because they don't want to give that up. That's their, you know, they have to disclose everything to the defense, but they don't want it out in the public.
Yeah, I think I found that Catherine Ramsland video that I was watching. Let me see. Hold on a second. I have to. She was on with it was on the Law and Crime Network. And but where did I find it? Because this is a 45-minute, so it's a 45-minute long interview, and I don't know where exactly she says it. Oh, shoot. Let me look. Because on here is where she says, I don't like using the word evil because it has religious connotations. You can't call a guy like BTK evil? Really? Really? I have to point out, you guys on Rumble, by the way, are doing a good job. Keep hitting that Rumble Plus button because we got on the front page of Rumble today somehow. So keep it up. Keep us up there. That's terrific. I love that the Rumble channel is doing well and the chat is hopping over there. So hit that plussy. And don't forget, if you're on Rumble, you can hit that little join locals red button right there on the screen. It should be there for you. And you can go right over to my locals, meganfox.locals.com. Sign up to follow me there. You'll never miss any of my my posts about when I'm going live. And if you sub, and we hit over 200 subs over the weekend. I was so thrilled. If you sub to that, I am doing so much fun stuff on my locals. We're doing non-political stuff with I'm doing basically a home ec class with some true crime sprinkled on top. We're doing cooking streams, cleaning streams. I even showed you how to hem pants the other day. And then we do movie nights with me where we watch documentaries. And you know what, you guys, I would watch this one, the BTK one, with you, but it was so awful the first time. I don't think I could sit through it a second time because I really hate Dennis.
When do you get your 2 hours of sleep in?
My 2 hours of sleep. Well, locals is fun because I just stream what I'm normally doing anyway, like cooking dinner. So it's not that difficult to do it. But yeah, I think that frankly, let's see if we go over to Catherine. I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't know where this moment is. Somebody just said her comments about evil just mean that she's an atheist and one of the asshole ones. Yes. That's exactly what it sounds like. Like she's one of these hardcore atheists who just gets really pissed off anytime anybody, dares to suggest that there might be something else, out there besides our own intellect. So this is a stream that she did on Law and Crime. Here we go. Let's see if there's anything interesting. And this is a while ago. This was on, when was this? Is there a date on here? No, it wasn't too long ago. I don't know.
Ago, eight months ago.
8 months ago. Yeah.
If I went to a master's in forensic psychology, that would enhance what I was doing, but it changed my life. Most forensic psychologists tend to do things like competency, mental state at the time of the offense, so assessments for the court. But you could also be a consultant. I actually consult on death investigations. I do police trainings. I talk about profiling and psychological autopsy, which is really about suicidology. So I have a whole class just in that. And I have a class in dangerous minds that I teach at the undergraduate and graduate,
of which she may have one
level, and that is really about offenders, which is mass murderers, spree killers, and serial killers. So that's primarily what I do most of my work on, and most of what the students want from me. That class fills up very quickly.
Yeah, I could definitely
cultivator.
Classes, if you don't mind, what university are you teaching through? And is this in-person classes you're doing, or is this part of an online program?
Yeah, I'm at DeSales University in Pennsylvania, and we did stay in the classroom throughout the pandemic. But I also teach online. I teach hybrid courses where you're part-time in the classroom, but a lot of it's.
Ooh, she's doing it online too. Oh gosh, this woman she's busier
Bigger
than me.
audience.
She's busier than me, Joe. Like she's written over 64 books. She's on 200 or so documentaries on TV. She's on ID TV. She's on True Crime Network. She's everywhere. Plus, she's teaching all these courses, and I don't know how she does it. She must have a couple of clones.
Maybe she did like James Michener and had the students do all the research and put the books together.
Possibly.
It's also taking place online. So I do a lot of different things, but we were in the classroom throughout the pandemic.
So you got into this basically writing about these, and you were like, oh, this is pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to go back and study this so that I can understand it a little bit better, so that I could write a little bit better. And obviously you went back to learn to write a little bit better because you understood what was going on to make your stories more appealing. I know that was a lot of words that I spit out there, but here's my question. What was the one story that you went that you were like, yeah, this is my thing. I want to do this?
Oh, wow. That's a huge question. And a multifaceted career. I didn't aspire to be an expert on serial killers. That was not where I set my sights. But when I kept doing one story after another for the crime library, that became some books. I did a lot with forensic science and psychology. And then suddenly I was being featured on a lot of documentaries and news shows. And so that became my thing it chose me more than I chose it, but I love it. I think it's really interesting, and I'm constantly finding new ideas, new motivations. We have formulas related to serial killers, but for example, I spent 5 years talking with Dennis Rader, the BTK serial killer, because he defies many of the formulas. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to know more about that. And I think I'm always looking for the outliers rather than the ones that fit the mold. I want to see the ones that don't.
Well, I'll tell you, she's right about that. She's right about that. She's right about
there's no mold.
There's no mold. I mean, we want to be able to put them in a mold, and we want to be able to say that we can identify them. But we can't. I mean, she can't even identify them.
They're your next door neighbor.
Yeah. Tommy says, thanks for the super chat. Her IMDb profile lists her as the executive producer for the 2022 TV miniseries BTK, Confessions of a Serial Killer. Yeah. And she stars in it too. And there's this, and I don't want to begrudge her having passion for her field. She enjoys what she does, and it is weird. It's weird to some people, but then again, I enjoy it. Clearly, I enjoy true crime. I want to know what I'm similar to her in a way where I want to know what's going on in the mind of these guys as well. Because for my own knowledge, I want to know how to spot them. And all I've learned is that you can't spot them. That's the whole problem. Not even this one, who has spent her entire life trying to figure out the mind of a serial killer. She can't tell you either. She had one in class and had no idea. That's what's so scary.
Think about domestic murders. A wife kills her husband because she has a boyfriend, or vice versa. What were they like as a kid? How bad did they fight over things that they thought were theirs? I mean, people are normal. I mean, everything is normal. When you look at kids growing up, they were all normal.
Yeah, the scary thing about BTK that she found out about him, like the way she says he breaks the norms, he does. He absolutely did. BTK, when he was a child, we expect to see in the background of a serial killer that they suffered some serious abuse. That's what you normally see. You see either serious physical, sexual, or emotional abuse being meted out, usually by a woman, onto this child. BTK had loving, normal parents that, unless he's lying, Okay, because I guess we wouldn't know unless he told the truth, and maybe he doesn't tell the truth. I find that's the scariest part about him that I think is the most terrifying, is that according to him, his childhood was completely normal. He suffered no abuse. His mother and father were very loving and attentive. He had a very normal American boy, growing up situation, and he just developed these weird paraphilias that came out of seemingly nowhere. His mother, in fact, he describes this incident. The BTK is Dennis Rader, by the way. He's the bind, torture, kill serial killer, charged with 10 murders. I think he did more. His mother was cleaning and vacuuming one day, and she stuck her hand inside the couch, and she got her ring stuck on a spring, and she couldn't get it out. And he was home with her, and he remembers this incident as being like formative in his paraphilia, which is weird. He saw her struggling at the couch and upset and scared, and she told him to run and get help because she couldn't get her hand out. And apparently this picture of his mother with this scared look on her face solidified in his mind as something he wanted to see on the faces of women, which is nuts. I just, as a mother of a son, I'm like, how does that even happen? She's not abusing him. She's not doing anything to him. And yet he somehow gets excited and thrilled seeing his mother struggle and in pain. What a terrible thing. I mean, at 8 years old or 7 years, just crazy. And this guy so it just appears that he was born this way. He was just born a total psychopath. The murders he committed, he did several of them in front of little children with no concern that those children were being traumatized for life by watching someone murder their mother in front of them. I mean, this guy was sick beyond belief. I don't even think I knew about some of his crimes until I watched this documentary that she was taking part in. And you can't explain it. You cannot
when you're
explain
talking
it.
about a serial killer, it's so much different than an incident that occurs on the street. Somebody starts a fight and somebody gets killed, or a neighborhood thing that builds up over time and anger, and then all of a sudden somebody blows it and shoots somebody or beats them over the head or whatever. But a serial killer, they're your next door neighbor. There's no other way to describe them.
He actually killed one of his next door neighbors.
They don't have a background visibly that you can touch or feel or talk about, because they just grew up normally. Ted Bundy, nice looking guy, smart. I mean, he could walk in anywhere and everybody enjoyed his company. I mean, how many girls followed him?
I had the same question, Shu. I wonder if her professional reputation will be impacted if he's guilty. Like, will she grift or I think she will absolutely try to grift. She will probably write a book about him. If I could guess, I'm thinking that she will probably grift on that. And you gotta respect the
She's
grift.
going to tell you how she had her suspicions about him, and now here they are. They show up, right?
I don't know. She has this theory that serial killers are that they have a brain disorder, because some of the studies that I guess she's looked at, their brains look a little different. Boy, would that be great. But that's a controversial opinion. Not all forensic psychologists agree with her.
Well, obviously, they have some kind of a mental defect. The brain has something that's sending them in a different direction. But how the hell do you ever figure that out? Until they do something.
Or is it simply that human beings are animals? We are predators. We are apex predators. And some of us just choose to prey on other humans, period.
And we eat meat.
Yeah. I mean, some of us choose to prey on animals and some of us choose to prey on people. I mean, is it just that simple? Is the reason we can't answer it because a majority of us choose to live one way and a minority choose to live a different way and just don't have those connections to humanity for whatever reason. And Dennis Rader did not appear to have any empathy at all. He has no concept of what he did to other people. None at all. Zero.
Who is this?
Dennis Rader, BTK.
Oh, yeah. Well, all of them. I mean, they kill indiscriminately, or they have a picture of what they want to kill. The Green River Killer. I mean, he went all the way down to San Diego doing it. Remember the Green River Killer?
I don't know that case very well, but I do. She was in. She wrote about that too, by the way. Catherine
Yeah,
Ramsland.
that was a
She's
big
the
deal.
expert.
That was a lot of
She's the
murders.
expert on that one too. Yeah. No, I know that's what he said, but it reminded me that the BTK actually did kill his next door neighbor too, which is actually very rare. It's actually very rare for a serial
Usually
killer.
they're away from their own
He got
community. Yeah.
he got very sloppy as he went on because he felt very untouchable because they couldn't
Well,
find
first,
him.
these people are not mental giants. I mean, it's not that they're so, like you look at Hannibal in the movie, he was super intelligent. You know what I mean? He was so aware of everything,
right?
And so in control of everything. These people are just normal people to the extent that they function like everybody else does. They just have that little bit of a twerk that puts them in another direction every now and then. It's not like they're constantly in that role.
Yeah. Okay, this is hilarious. I just opened up PJ Media because I had to, I was going to go drop some of the links that I wrote about this. And I have to share this with you because this is so funny. This headline just popped up. I haven't read this yet. Eugenics experts advise having sex with short people. Short people, you're in luck. You're in luck. Short guys celebrate because the eugenics experts say that people should be having sex with short people. I have no idea what this is about, but it made me laugh, so I wanted to share it with you. I was just, in fact, talking to some guys who contacted me about their dating problems and how they're too short to get a date. But maybe this is the answer. The eugenics folks are now saying if you want to, it says if you won't die, the NYT at least wants us to breed nothing but short people. Apparently short people do less damage to the earth or something. I don't know. Anyway, going over to my columns, that was by Stephen Green, by the way, who is hilarious. If you want a good laugh, you should read him. Here's one that I want to talk about because this is a very good explanation of fake news. I sent this over to Legal Vices today, and he read it on the stream. I'm dropping it in the chat on both YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble right now. I will also go put it over on the Locals live chat, which is going on to my shout out to my Locals peeps. I'm going to put that in there now. There you go. All right. So everybody has the link. Clickety click, please, because if you can't send a super chat or a Rumble rant or some Locals coins, you can use your little finger to clickety click, and that helps me out. All right. Big media fail. This article. You read that? Yeah. The Idaho suspect's classmates accuse him of anti-LGBTQ statements, but reporters don't verify because we have the shittiest press on the planet. So I'm going to skip down to when this really gets going here because I had a run-in with one of these classmates named BK Norton, whose name I'm sure is not BK, but that's what she goes by. So she told the New York Times, Norton, a lesbian, weirdly accused Kohberger of making anti-LGBTQ comments, but did not tell the reporters what those comments were, and they printed it anyway. Her accusation was repeated in many news publications that lifted her quotes from the Times. At least one other student who did not want to be named backed up Norton's account but didn't elaborate on the actual comments, though they say the incident somewhat isolated Kohberger from other students and he had trouble making friends after that. Was Kohberger canceled by his classmates for wrongthink? Why didn't the reporters who interviewed Kohberger's classmates nail down what the offensive comments were? Instead, they chose to leave that part of this story undisclosed and open to the interpretation of the reader to imagine some dastardly insult when history proves that LGBTQ activists are so easily offended that the things one can't say change almost hourly. Pardon my skepticism, but anyone crying anti-LGBTQ in the year 2022 needs serious vetting. PJ Media contacted Norton and asked what was said and why other reporters hadn't asked for details. Norton responded, "They asked, but I was not comfortable elaborating." When I pressed her for the statement she heard Kohberger make, she accused me of harassing her and deleted her public post. "Why would I tell some random person harassing me on my personal Facebook account?" she wrote. Norton's Facebook account was open to the public at the time, and I posted my question on a post of hers about the crimes. "Also, I'm not the only one who told the papers that," she wrote. Norton is the only named classmate who told the NYT about the anti-LGBTQ statements. The second classmate commented anonymously, but also did not disclose the alleged statements. So here's my receipts. You can see that she posted on Facebook. She posted this thing, and let me just clarify this right now. This is funny. So I went and found her on Facebook. That's usually how I find sources that I want to talk to. I found her on Facebook quite easily. They use the same picture of her in the paper that she has on Facebook. And right away, she's got a public post there that says, "If you're a member of the media, please don't contact me. I've already been interviewed several times and I'm not interested in any other interviews." So of course I post right there. I ignore that completely. And here's why. If she really wanted to be left alone, she would have made her post private. She left it open to the public. And as a reporter, you ignore stuff like this. You ignore people who are making dramatic drama queen posts about, "Please don't contact me. I just can't possibly talk to any more reporters." You just ignore that. You just ignore it completely and you ask your question. Okay. You don't go, "Oh, well, I guess she doesn't want to talk." No, 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 no. I said, "Could you at least elaborate on the anti-LGBTQ statements you said you heard him say that isolated him from others? It seems that would be important. What did he say that offended you and other students? Could you elaborate on that? I'm surprised the interviewers you spoke to didn't ask that question." And she responded, "They asked, but I was not comfortable elaborating. Super weird of you to comment on a post of me asking for space. Thanks for respecting my boundaries." And then I replied to her, "You accuse someone of being a bigot in several papers. If I had been reporting it, I wouldn't have printed your accusation without knowing what it was you were alleging. They made a mistake there. Real journalists get the facts. What did he say? What was the statement? If you were comfortable insinuating he's bigoted, then be comfortable providing the why."
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You can't just make an allegation against somebody and then,
Yeah.
refuse to say what it is. She then responded, "Why would
Well,
I
that's a
tell
special class of people there. So
Yeah, right. "Why would I tell some random person harassing me on my personal Facebook account? Go back and read. Everyone who has the facts does." What facts, BK? You didn't give anybody any. You made a vague allegation with no facts in it at all. And they printed it.
Yeah.
And she said, "Also, I'm not the only one who has told the papers that. Please remove yourself from my Facebook or I won't have any problems blocking you." Now, I did not remove myself from her Facebook. I actually tried to respond to this, to her response, but I was blocked at that point. Or she
Never
removed.
been blocked before?
Oh yeah, I get blocked all the time.
That
But
was
I mean,
sarcasm.
look, you never listen to people who say things like, "Leave me alone." As a reporter, my job is to not leave you alone. My job is to get the story. My job is to get the truth, get the facts. I'm going to push you and push you and push you until you block me or you answer my question. Two
Well,
things.
too many times people talk to reporters and the reporter doesn't get the answer he wants or she wants, and the person is being outgoing, talking, but then they print what they want to print because they didn't get what they want for the person, so they just say the person talked about this, and it's not true, and that's not right. If you're going to write what somebody said, write what they said, not what
Right,
you
what they
wanted
said.
them to say.
Especially because we know darn well that this either didn't happen or whatever was said is completely non-controversial in any way, right? It could have just like Meme Copium said this morning on Legal Vice's stream. He could have just said that's gay about something and then been labeled a bigot. Or he
Yeah.
could have said, "I don't believe in hate crimes." And I don't either. Like a lot of people don't believe in hate crimes.
No.
We believe that designation is is unnecessary. It's superfluous. We already have crimes.
It's part
That's what
of a
we
program.
yeah.
It's part of an agenda.
Exactly. Stephen Gosney, who is a friend of the program, says, "Oh, the quadruple murder is fine. At least it wasn't a hate crime."
That's what I was just laughing at. Well, that's important. See, that changes the whole.
But what do these comments have to do with anything? Were any of the victims LGBTQX apostrophe asterisk ampersand? Yeah, no, we don't think so, Steve. We don't think so. It has nothing to do with anything. Nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody has come up with a motive, and nobody has talked about a motive. You know, all you got is 4 college kids and another guy that's a little strange, and that's it. Yeah, nobody has connected them in any way that means anything.
No, so and just bringing this up, all it does is smear a guy who's been accused of a crime, a heinous crime, no doubt. But all this does is serve to smear him in the public opinion, right? In the court of public opinion, and that's not
Right.
okay. It's not okay for media to do this. Look, I had a friend once who had his face splashed all over the newspaper for being basically a pedophile, is what they claimed. He was a superintendent of a school at the time. He was one of my very good friends. I went to high school with him. I knew his family. There's no way this man was a pedophile, okay? I knew the second I saw this story in the Chicago Tribune, I was like, no, this is not real. It turns out that he was set up by a student and her mother who had done this to another teacher somewhere else in order to sue the school district, claiming that he had groped this girl in his office. Camera evidence showed this never happened. But did the Chicago Tribune ever apologize to this man for putting his mugshot up and saying that he was a child molester? No. And did he ever get hired by another school ever again? No, he didn't. It ruined his life. He became a landscaper after that. He went to work cutting people's grass, and he had been a superintendent of a school district. These types of things that the media does to people before a trial has happened are inexcusable.
They never follow up to just get away from what they said. It sticks. People remember. No, they said this and they knew. That's it.
Ampersand. Wow. Megan's grammatical prowess continues to impress. Iron Dog, I know my keyboard. In my field, you kind of have to. Let's see. There's more. What's revealing about this exchange is that reporters at the New York Times allowed someone they were interviewing not to answer an important question due to being uncomfortable. Why didn't they simply say, if you can't tell us what he said, we can't report this? It's amateur hour at the Times, though, apparently, because they did report this student's unverified accusation. And because of it, there is now a narrative building that is painting Kohberger as a bigot. This is the type of accusation that should never be printed without verification. The anti-LGBTQ statements could have been an argument about hate crimes, a highly controversial subject during a criminology class, for all we know. It's a sad indictment of journalism today that several reporters were fine with printing an unverified accusation that will smear an accused man without any evidence. Maybe it's true, but no one bothered to find out, and the only alleged witnesses wouldn't disclose any details. The question should be asked why the reporters Rachel's son, Nicholas Bogle-Burrows, and Serge Kovaleski chose to add such a vague accusation that only serves to cast Kohberger, who has the presumption of innocence, in a negative light. PJ Media reached out to Rachel's son, who is on Twitter, to ask why this was printed, and she blamed it on her co-authors. This is what I said. Why did
he did it?
I can't believe that she responded, by the way. Why did Rachel M's son let her make these statements in the New York Times without verifying what it was she was alleging? Rachel, why would you print this? If a source is unwilling to tell you what was said, why would you report that it was said at all? Weird. She responds, "Hi, this is a shared byline article, and I did not personally interview the student you're talking about. I can't speak for other reporters or editors other than to say I trust the judgment of the ones I've worked with." Oh, so she blames somebody else. I reached out to the other two, didn't hear back by the time of publishing. I still haven't heard back from them. If they do respond, we will update, and I'll let you know.
But she's still saying that they did a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Trust her,
I trust them. They did a good job. No, I mean, it's absolute garbage. Now, here's something interesting. So, Legal Vices disagrees with me on this one a little bit. There is a classmate named Sarah Healy who was interviewed who said she knew him in high school. Legal Vices thought that maybe that she didn't know him very well. I got the different impression after reading her interview. I got an impression that she actually was friends with him, but maybe this could all be bullshit. But I thought this was interesting because one of the things she said was that he didn't understand social cues and often offended people without knowing it. Now, this relates to what we just talked about because if this BK Norton person was offended by him, well, maybe this explains why. Healy said it wasn't meant to be offensive, she said. It was like childlike curiosity from an adult who you would think would know better than to ask a question, but it was such a genuine curiosity. And that's why I thought he was so sheltered that he just had no idea about these things. And I really don't think he knew any better. So that's interesting to me.
And we know people like that. We all know people like that.
We all know people like that. So if someone comes forward and says, "Hey, this guy offended us with this whatever thing," well, okay, maybe you were offended, but maybe he didn't mean it that way, is all I was trying to point out by including her statement here. It's like, well, there's always another explanation, and none of this means he committed murder.
You know.
That's the problem. It just doesn't mean he's a murderer. And so none of this stuff is actually helpful. It's not helpful to the families in Idaho. It's not helpful to the police. It's not helpful to anybody. It's not helpful to the potential jury. It's actually just the reason why the world is burning. So thanks, media. Thanks for nothing. Again, thanks for nothing. Yeah. And I just think that they are creating conditions now where it's going to be very hard for this man to get a fair trial. And I feel.
And that happens whenever you have a high notoriety case like that. The press they know who the investigators are and they follow them like hounds. And if they go talk to somebody, that person must be a suspect. They must have done something wrong or they wouldn't be talking to him. And they have no idea why they're talking to the guy. Maybe he sold the guy something, It has nothing to do with anything other than they just following leads.
Yeah.
And that person gets smeared. And, in the Hillside Strangler in LA, they went to a guy's house. The guy had to sell his house and move out of the state because the press just hounded him.
God.
And
that happens. That happens.
And he had nothing to do with anything. It was just a lead. They had to follow it up. If somebody tells you he did it and they give you a reason, you got to go talk to the guy. You can't just ignore him. And the press just looks at it. Oh, he's another suspect.
Well, that brings me to another topic, which is how much fake news and how many accusations were out there about other people who are not related to this case on YouTube and the true crime community and everything. And I remember telling you guys when I first started covering this case, if you go back and watch my very first live stream on this case, I said, stop doing this. Stop pointing fingers at the neighbor. Stop pointing fingers at Jack. And stop pointing fingers at food truck guy. It's none of these people. I said that from the beginning. I said, I don't think it's any of these people. And for one, what you're doing when you send the mob after someone is you could literally destroy their life. Like you said, a person had to move away from the press and the mob mentality. I understand that this is something that really captured the imagination of the American people. And and I want you guys to know out there that there are people on YouTube who are really unscrupulous, and there's a guy who had to YouTube deleted his channel because he literally fabricated evidence in this case. He fabricated sounds of screaming and put it out there like it was real. There are people out there who will do anything for the clicks. And like I've said a million times, I'm never going to get rich here doing this because I won't do stuff like that. I refuse. I think it's not only unhelpful, it's unethical, it's immoral, and it needs to stop. So people who are reading tarot cards and pointing fingers at professors and saying, this person did this, and I know that the ex-boyfriend did it, and I know that stop. Just stop. And they're not going to stop. So what you need to do is stop watching it. Stop watching these people who are just making money on wild speculation that is ruining people's lives. You know, there was one guy, not Jack the boyfriend, but a different Jack, who had the finger pointed at him for a couple of weeks, and false rumors saying he left and went to Africa and didn't give a DNA test, and all of that was garbage. I looked into it. You know what I found? Because at first I thought, well, this seems kind of interesting. So I'm looking into it and I'm trying to figure out where did he go anywhere? Where did this come from? Here's how they came up with this scenario. Kaylee's dad was told by someone, he reported to the press that someone told him that this guy, Jack, left the country. And that's all we knew, is that someone told Mr. Gonsalves that Jack left the country. When I finally got to the bottom of who told Mr. Gonsalves this, you know who it was? You're gonna die laughing, Joe. It was a psychic.
I love them. They come in and you have to listen to them because the press will go after you if you don't. She told you what happened and you don't listen to her.
Right. So
Maybe
you
she
listen
can
and then
murder
you're
out
like,
for me.
okay. I mean, it's just amazing, but this is how this is how these things get spread. And I don't want to cast any aspersions on Mr. Gonsalves. The man is a grieving father, but he, you know, he needs someone to tell him to be careful what he says to the media,
Yeah.
because
Well, the family, you gotta kind of
you
put
do.
up
You have
with
to
it
cut some
because
slack.
they're under a lot of stress, a lot of strain, and all that.
Crystal wants to know, was it the psychic dog? It's possible. Possible, Crystal. It's very possible. Yeah, I think
They'll drive you nuts, the psychics. I mean, they. I know. You can't tell me different. You know, they know what happened, and if you don't believe them, you're nuts.
yeah, false accusations really are dangerous. Thank you, Plebe Life, for saying this. People don't realize that making wild speculations online can lead to people you accuse being killed in real life. That's true. I mean, people's emotions are very high. False accusations are very damaging. They can be damaging to your reputation, damaging all over just damaging. So we should stop doing it. I mean, for God's sake, and let's not do it to Bryan Kohberger either. Let's not do it to him either. Yes, he's been arrested. The police clearly have reason to believe that. We don't know what that is yet. We're going to find out, hopefully soon. But we've got to keep an open mind during the trial about what is the evidence. Does the evidence prove what the police says it proves? Because it's very important to our justice system that people get a fair trial and that you retain your innocence until you're unless you are proven guilty by the state. And I right now we have nothing that ties him to the crimes
And
right now.
you have to remember that there are professional law enforcement people that have done things, create evidence, or lie about the evidence. There was burglars in I think in Missouri or somewhere in the Midwest where they killed a lady, and the woman said, scientist woman in the criminal investigation said that the boot print on the foot on the door was the guy that was arrested. And he was charged with murder. Turns out she faked the boot print and testified in court that it was.
Well, Missouri, I don't know if you know my theory about Missouri, but Missouri is the gateway to hell.
I think it was Missouri. I don't know for sure.
It tracks though with my knowledge of Missouri, that Missouri is the gateway to hell. And I apologize to any of you living in Missouri, but I know things about Missouri. And that is a very good point to bring up, Joe, that there have been plenty of people who've been framed for murders. We have to keep an open mind, because if that did happen here, we certainly want to know, and we want the evidence to be proven. There was a huge scandal in Atlanta. It was an Atlanta crime lab that had done drug tests, and they had, there's a documentary about it. They had falsified drug tests, like hundreds of them, because the woman doing the drug test was high herself, and she was basically lazy, not wanting to do her work, and she was just falsifying all these drug tests, and it led hundreds of people to being incarcerated who were innocent. So you must go into it with as objective a mind as you possibly can. And I would throw out all of this testimony of anyone who says they knew him who went to the press. Throw it all out. Put it out of your mind. The only one that at this point that I think has any validity at all is the guy at the brewery, because they wrote it down on in the computer on the date that it happened, and he has that evidence to back him up. That's it. That's the only one that I think makes any sense, and it still doesn't point to murder. It's not evidence that he was in Idaho doing what the cops say he did. This was in Pennsylvania, so it really is not evidence.
But there's something to consider in their investigation. It's been over a month, and all this time people are saying they haven't done anything, they don't have anything, they haven't told us what they have and all. But they had to be doing something, because they got this guy, they followed him. The FBI did a lot of surveillance for them. So there were several weeks where they had this guy in mind. They were putting it together. It takes a while. If there's any kind of a toxicology, that could be 6 weeks before you get responses. So I mean, there's things that you're doing that have to come together. When you write an affidavit, you have to have the stuff that makes him look guilty, or you're wasting your time. So they have to have something. Maybe it's not all provable at this point, but it all comes together. Circumstantial evidence. You don't have eyewitnesses in this case. If you do, nobody knows about them. Or
Steve,
we don't.
I like Steve. Which broadcast did he get totally punked on? I want to know this. So live broadcast, major media coverage when OJ was holed up in his truck outside his house, and Peter Jennings got completely scammed. One of the funniest prank calls ever. I'm gonna have to look that up, because that sounds hilarious. Well, how do I find it? Can someone drop me the link on my Twitter DMs, because that sounds hysterical? I should play that. And that again, when these kinds of stories are going around, this is the prime time for someone to punk the media just because they think it's hilarious. For instance, when Elon was firing people, remember Ligma and Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that was hysterical. 2 guys walking around outside of Twitter headquarters with boxes of stuff, and the media fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, that they had just been fired. And one of them was like, "I have to go now. I need to call my wife and her boyfriend." It was the funniest thing I have ever seen, and how they didn't see it.
Well, and that points out a thing. Those people there were a bunch of people fired. And in California, you have to give them like 3 months pay when you fire them and all that stuff. Well, he did. But every report about him firing all those people never said that they got their 3 months and it was a legitimate firing. They're all going to sue. What are you going to sue over? You got the money.
I know.
But see, they never give you the whole story. They give you up to where they want you to hear, but no more.
All right, I found it.
Okay.
I found the prank call. Let's watch this, shall we?
Can ask everybody to be quiet for a moment. We have on the phone with us as well Robert Higgins, who lives in the neighborhood and is on the ground and can see inside the van. Mr. Higgins.
Yes. How are you?
Just about as tense as you are, sir.
Oh my Lord, this is quite the tensest.
What can you see?
What I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at the van, and I see OJ kind of slouching down, looking very, very upset. Now look at here, he look very upset.
Look at here.
I don't know what he gonna be doing.
Can you see him doing anything specific? Is he merely sitting there?
He is just sitting around, just looking like he'd be very nervous.
Can you hear anything, Mr. Higgins?
It's just too much commotion. I be in the back of a news van, so I can't really hear that good, but I can see it all. And I see OJ. Man, and he looks scared. And I would be scared because there's cops all deep in this.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins.
And Baba Booey to y'all.
Baba Booey, that was
The
back.
driveway of O.J. Simpson's home in Brentwood.
Oh, hilarious! That was back
Clearly
when
an effort being made.
the Howard Stern guys were that was Howard would play these things on the show whenever someone would prank the media, and then they'd go Baba Booey. They would play it on the Stern show. Oh wait, is there more? Wait, Steve, you said there's more? Okay, wait, here we go.
To have him come out of the vehicle in the doorway of the house, his friend, Al Cowling.
Peter, by the way, just for the record, this is Al Michaels. That was a totally farcical call.
That sounds like Howard.
That was somebody who was truly across the street. That
That's
was not.
Howard.
He said something in code at the end that's indicative of the mentioning of the name of a certain radio talk show host.
Okay, thanks, Al.
So he was not there.
All right, we have them on every coast. Thank you very much.
That was totally
Not the first time nor the last time will have been had, but
That was not Al Michaels. That was Howard Stern. That was not Al Michaels.
Yeah, he didn't want to say his name. He didn't want to give him any credit.
That was Howard Stern. That is hilarious. I would recognize Howard Stern's voice anywhere. I used to watch that. I mean, I used to listen to his show every day. And so I consider myself somewhat of a Howard Stern expert. That was Howard's voice. Oh, is that hilarious? God, that's funny. You know what? Yeah, the airline one was terrible too. There was a plane crash, and they did it to the news anchors doing this plane crash report, and it was a Chinese aircraft or something, and they called, and I don't remember what the what the joke was, but it was bad. It was so bad. Wait, let me see if I can find it, because that one was good too. But yeah, this is the time where you have to be highly, highly attuned to the fact that you are going to be getting pranked by the public. They are going to do this kind of crap to you.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
everybody has a strange sense of humor sometimes, you know. You
Yeah.
never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah, this one is
People are
funny.
funny.
All right, here it is. This one is absolutely hilarious. Yeah, holy fuck. Bang ding ow. And we too low. That's hold on. This is so funny. This is you can blame the press for this, because they are so willing to take anything just so they can be first to report something. That it's their fault that they fall for this crap. It is their fault.
Well, that's the big thing, is being the first one out with it.
Who wrote? Look at this. Somebody actually wrote. Hold on. Let me make sure I get this right. Someone actually wrote this on a card too. Look at this, and no one looked at it. Something Wong, like no one looked at this and went,
"We too low."
The information now of plane crash. KTV has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who are on board the flight. They are Captain Something Wong, Wee Too Low, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played.
That's hysterical.
On Saturday. Involved in the Asiana Airlines crash.
She's got a
These
straight
names were
face.
not accurate, despite an NTSB official in Washington confirming them late this morning. We apologize for this error.
Tonight, we want to take a moment and say that we are sorry.
We are
Earlier today,
sorry.
during our noon newscast, we misidentified the pilots in the Asiana Airlines crash. We made several mistakes when we received this information. First of all, we never read the names out loud, phonetically sounding them out. Then during our phone call to the NTSB, where the person confirmed the spellings of the names, we never asked that person to give us their
How can
position.
you look at the
within
name and not
agency.
sound it out?
We heard this person verify the information without questioning who they were, and then we rushed the names onto our noon newscast. Within the last few minutes, the
Cindy, don't
NTSB
pee.
issued this statement, quote, "The National Transportation Safety Board apologizes
remember
for
this.
inaccurate and
That's
offensive
hysterical.
names that were
It's so
mistakenly
funny.
confirmed as those of the pilots. A summer intern
Oh,
acted
God.
outside
An
the scope of his
intern.
authority when he erroneously confirmed the names of
blamed
the
it on an
flight crew on
intern.
the aircraft. We work hard to ensure that only appropriate factual information regarding an investigation is released, and we deeply regret today's incident.
Imagine you
Appropriate
do.
I bet
will
you
be
do.
taken to ensure that such a serious error is not repeated. Now, even with this statement from the NTSB, we want you to know here we accept full responsibility for this mistake.
Oh,
We issued an
God.
apology later in the noon newscast. We also apologized on our website and on our social
We
media
so
sites.
stupid.
The fact is,
And then we
apologize
went back
to the
outside and beat ourselves
and
with the
on
whip,
all of
right?
us, on behalf of all of us, I want to tell you that we pride ourselves on getting it right and having the highest of standards and integrity. Clearly, today, that did not happen.
Reporting.
We made a mistake.
Can you imagine that?
Crash.
I actually have to hear it again.
Crash KTV
I
has
have to
just
hear her
learned the
say it
names
again.
of the
Captain
4 pilots who were on
Something
board the flight. They are Captain Something
low.
Wong, Wee Too Low, Ho Lee Fook, and
Holy
Bang Ding Ao.
Bang, ding, ow. I just...
I don't even remember that. I can't believe I remember that. But you know, these reporters, especially the news reporters on the street, a lot of them have no life experience. They went to journalism school, got their head blown up with that, and they come out like they know everything, you know?
Oh God. Okay, you guys are asking for the link to that, so I'm gonna throw it in the
That's
chat.
hysterical.
Oh God, it was so funny. It's so funny, and I'm so glad I remembered that because that is so funny. Rumble, I'm gonna put it in there for you guys too. We so dumb. What we so dumb.
Google holy fuck.
Yeah. How did she not know after saying Captain Something Wong? I would have been like, whoa, hold on a second. Although, I don't know. I shouldn't talk because I often walk into things that are funny that I don't see until it's too late. So, God, I know Ron Burgundy is based on reality. In that movie, they said he'll read anything that's on the card. That's why he was like, go fuck yourself, San Francisco. And he had no clue what he just said. As long as it's on the card, he's going to read it. Just good. Oh, God. Oh, Joe, thanks for being here with me today.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Randy go to bang.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here today. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, I read your articles, so I'll always bang in there and give you something to talk about. Anyway, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
All right.
Take care.
We'll see you soon.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
All right. So you know what we haven't done? We have not done our squats, and it's been 2 hours. And I'm sorry, but that's got to happen right now. Get off your butt and do your squats.
You impose fatness on you. You did it by going, oh, I want the butter on the popcorn. Oh, I want the butter on the ice cream. Oh, I want the butter on the sandwich. Oh, I want the butter on the salad. Stop eating butter. Can you just get up, walk 1 mile? Do squat! Walk farther. And if you can't walk, crawl, roll, get dragged by a goddamn forklift. Whatever is wrong with you, just move. Ever. Get off the chair. Get off the couch. No one is coming to service you while you sink into that furniture, while you become one with the pleather your poor ass got on that Walmart couch. Can you try not floating into sadness? Stop eating, stop drinking, start walking, start doing anything that you haven't been doing, you fat piece of shit.
Oh my goodness. It's been a long weekend. A long break. I should have been doing my squats over break. Instead of doing squats, I was eating cookies. I got to stop doing that. Oh my goodness. How'd you do? Did you do your squats? Thanks for the Raceland. Thanks for the Rumble rant. Raceland says, thanks for the laugh at fake journalists. Anytime. I'm here for you. And seriously, that was the funniest thing ever. I absolutely love pranking the media. It's one of my favorite things. One of my absolute favorite things. I'm looking at the locals chat and catching up in there. A true crime channel, Tammy says, a true crime channel I watched had call-in for viewers. A troll called in and said, we should know more about the Idaho case today when Alpha David spoke today. It was funny. Ictamel was the channel. He clipped it. Too funny. When Alpha David, oh, that's funny. Like affidavit. What time is it? All right, it's 1:13. Here's my plan. I am going to come back when the hearing in the extradition hearing is, and I will cover that at that time. But what I'm going to go do right now is go to work. I have to go to work at pjmedia.com. I got stories I got to write. I don't know what's coming up next. I don't know what I'm going to write about, but let me just encourage you to get over to pjmedia.com. Here we go. This is what it looks like. And if you go up to the top here and you go over to columnists and you click on my name, it's going to take you to all these terrific articles I've written. I wrote one about the daughter of serial killer BTK. I also wrote one about the DNA theory about this case. I also have a podcast there every Friday. And I was talking about this arrest there as well. If you want to access my podcast, you do have to sign up for PJ Media's VIP subscription service. If you want to do that, my promo code is FOX, and you can get a discount. Also, don't forget to go to Locals, meganfox.locals.com. I am telling you, Locals is the place to be. I mean, absolutely the best place to be. In fact, why don't I show you why it is the best place to be? Here, hold on. I do want to show you before you go. And if you're on Rumble, you get to hit that little Join Locals Now button right away. The Locals community. Locals has been a place that I have started going to more than Twitter. And if you know me, you know I'm a Twitter addict. And when I caught myself going to Locals on the Locals app on my phone before hitting Twitter in the morning, I knew that something very special was happening, because this is where I want to be. Locals is an amazing community. It's run by people who care about their creators, who don't try to silence us or censor us based on what types of opinions we have. Locals is a place where you're always going to get notifications when I go online, when I go live, when I'm doing YouTube or Rumble or Facebook or anything. You're going to get those notifications. Locals is not going to try and keep it from you the way that YouTube does. Locals is a great place, and it's a place where we're building a community here of people who can bond over things like making fun of stupid people on movie nights with Meg, where we watch true crime documentaries, and you really need to join us for that, because mocking liars and lunatics, it's just something that we love doing here, and we're not ashamed to say it. On Locals, it's also a place that I can share parts of my life with you that I wouldn't normally share on PJ Media. You know, I've been doing cooking streams. Flower arranging and lots of dog streams where you get to meet my German Shepherd, Archie Ruckus, who is always in trouble, but so cute. He's worth the trouble. Locals is a place that has built a real community around creators, and I feel like it's a place that cares whether or not we do well. And so it's a place that I want to spend more of my time, and I want to spend it here with you. So if you enjoy my content, please be a member here at Locals. I would love to have you join our movie nights where we have popcorn and cocktails.
I want to know why. I want to know why she was taken out of my arms. Why didn't he call 911? I wasn't the only one that was home.
Why didn't you call 911? Why aren't you asking yourself why you didn't call 911? Locals is really becoming a community. It feels fun, like a place where fun is not illegal anymore. We're allowed to have fun here on Locals, and nobody is looking over our shoulders and telling us how to do it. And there is no censorship here. If you become a member of my Locals community, you get to participate in live chats and come to special movie nights with me. And you get to see a whole part of my life that just isn't out there on the internet. It's only here on Locals. Everything that I'm doing will be right here. All links anything I'm writing will be linked here. Anytime I'm going online, if I'm going live, you'll see it here first. So even if you're not a paying member, make sure you sign up and become just a regular member on Locals, which is totally free, so that you get those notifications when I go live. You need to join me for my cooking streams for sure, where you get to watch and see if I burn or don't burn my house down. And it's always a possibility. The Locals community really feels like a family, and I've been doing a lot of family live streams here where you get to see how I deal with working full-time as a journalist, but also taking the time to care for my family, keep my house clean, get my dinner cooked. And I've been getting a lot of help from our community members, giving me tips and tricks on how to clean my new stove, you know, the one that I had to replace the last one because I burned it. But this is a great place where we can share our insights into how we do it all. How do we keep the house running? How do we also meet our professional obligations? And this is just stuff that we've been talking about here on My Locals, and I'm going to bring much more of it to you coming soon. Tune in, become a part of Megan Fox on Locals. This is a great place to be. meganfox.locals.com. Be a part of my community today. All right. Thanks for watching. And by the way, for those of you who said you don't think you can afford to follow me, Locals, you can follow me there for free. And I do put up free content as well. There are some free cooking streams on there, and there's some free, all kinds of free stuff. So don't worry about that. If you can't afford to sign up and be a subscriber, you can still download the Locals app on your phone for free. You can follow me for free, and there's plenty of free stuff there as well, and you'll still get all those notifications. That's the important part, because YouTube, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you're following me on YouTube, you will often not get notifications when I go live. So you gotta go where the notifications are, where I'm not being kept from you. Thank you, Sinbad, for putting my link tree in there. If you guys want to see all my links to all my stuff, it's right there at that link tree link. So go there and find them all. Now, those of you, no, I didn't change my shirt. I just took my Bill's sweatshirt off while I was doing squats. So I got hot. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, and by the way, I need to change that Locals my Locals poster, because it's not $3 a month anymore. Well, it is right now because I forgot to change it. So if you beat me to Locals, you before I get to change it, you might still get it at $3 a month. It's going, I told you it was going up to $5 in January, and it is. I just haven't done it yet. So if you're faster than I am, you can get on Locals right now and get it for $3 a month for an entire year using promo code PANTS, and you'll get a free month on me. All right, that's enough Locals commercial. And if you're on Rumble, by the way, just hit that button. Did I miss one over here? No. Okay, let me go over to my Locals stream, make sure I didn't miss anything. By the way, I'm waiting on my shipment of books. I have 2 shipments of both my books coming so that I can raffle off signed copies of my books, because you guys really like that. And I'm going to get back to doing that as soon as they get here. I just don't have them yet. But once I get them, I will do that. So don't worry, those are coming. All right, tomorrow, I believe I will be here tomorrow. I don't know what the topic will be, probably just breaking news, whatever is happening in the news. I will be here then. Probably at 11 again. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, prayers for Damar Hamlin. Do I have an Amazon link? Rebecca, what kind of Amazon link? What Amazon link do you mean? Do you mean, oh, for the books? If you go to my link tree, which is posted, that Sinbad just posted, you will find the links to my books right there. Also, I believe that they're in the description of this video. They should be. I think I put them on all my YouTube descriptions, although I could be wrong. But let me know if you don't find it. You can always email me, and I will send that to you. Oh, you know what? I missed some super chats. Holy crap. I got to go back here. Durna 1804 says she got $50 for telling that story and $20 for the gum job. What was that from the UK, from the Daily Mail? Yes, probably. The crackhead from jail? Probably. American Dreamer. Oh, I think I got that one. Thank you again for sending it. And I got Tammy's. I know that. Okay, good. All right. It looks like I got all of them. And I think that's it. So let me just quickly, oh, Amazon store and wish list. Yes, I do have that. So I set up a Amazon gift list in case anybody wanted to help me out with some tech upgrades for the show. I know some of you have complained about the camera, and it turns out that it's my camera that's on my webcam is just not great. However, I have put up one for a gift list, and I will share that with you. I need to add it to my Linksies. I will share that with you. Hang on, let me go find it. Hold on. All right, let's get over to Amazon. I know it's in here somewhere. Yeah, that way, and it's actually, if you have anything else you wanted to send me, it's open. You can do that. It's not like I have a camera listed on there and that's it. Get to my gift list. Here it is. All right, how do I share this? Do I just copy the link? Is that how that works? Yeah, I think so. All right, I'm going to drop it in the chat for you guys. Here you go. And I will put it in the description of the videos too. That way it'll just be there. There's the Amazon list. I will throw it on Rumble as well. Dun, dun, dun. There you go. So like Cindy sent me the TikTok pants. By the way, I picked them up yesterday. I was at my, I went to my lawyer's office and picked up the pants, the TikTok leggings. Those are obscene, Cindy. I can't wear those leggings. They're so obscene. They're a slightly small. I don't know why you think I'm a small. I love you that you think I'm small, but I'm probably more of a medium. However, they really do make my butt look great, amazingly. But they are so extreme. I'm terrified to wear them. The black ones are great though, because you can't really tell. They just look like normal leggings. But the purple ones, OMG, they're scandalous. Scandalous. So I promised that I would get you guys a reaction from Mr. Fox. I've been too embarrassed to wear them yet. I wore the black ones last night, but he didn't say anything because you really can't tell. They just look like regular leggings. But I was testing him to see if he would notice. He didn't notice. So I need to put the purple ones on because for sure he will notice. But most likely he's going to be like, what the hell are you wearing? Why are you wearing those? That's what he's going to say. He's going to be like, what? Put some clothes on, for God's sake. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. They're hilarious, Cindy. Absolutely hilarious. Is the camera on sale? I don't know. Good. I hope so. I know. I will. I'll get a reaction from him. It'll be funny. But see, he's going to be hard to record because he'll know I'm recording. So most likely I'm just going to have to tell you what he did. Because if I have a camera up, he won't be himself. He'll just know. Do you say juicy on the seat? No. Do you not know what TikTok leggings are? Do you not know? Are you unaware? Because these are some of the funniest videos, by the way, on YouTube. Let me see. I'll pull one up real quick. Let me see. TikTok leggings. These videos are so funny. They make me laugh so hard. Hold on. See, I won't be able to videotape my husband though. He sees everything. Like he knows. Hold on. I got to pull this up. He just knows. And like he would not fall for this. Mm-hmm. This guy's face. I think he sees the camera. It's so funny.
Hey, babe. Is that you? Damn. Yeah.
Is that you?
Like somebody else because the pants are just.
You like?
Oh, wow. What are you trying to do to me?
They are scandalous.
Not my wife?
I was like thinking this.
Scandalous, I tell you.
Like, what does she want me to do?
You like them? They look super good.
They look delicious. Hi.
Hi.
What's her name?
Hey, so
I need to wear more of this stuff. Just got my heart going.
I mean, they are so scandalous. I put them on. I looked in the mirror. I was like, oh my God. I can't go out like
Why are you
this.
setting me up?
Yeah, see, that's exactly
The
what would
hell is
happen.
this?
What do you think of them?
That's exactly what
Is
would
that
happen
what
to
you
me.
ordered?
Yes. Are you inspecting me?
Yeah.
What do you think about them?
I like them.
And now the bots are here. The porn bots are back. Anyway, if you go on YouTube, you can find a million of these reaction videos. They are hilarious. They are absolutely hilarious. Makes me laugh. And like, now I didn't believe they could possibly be that scandalous, and then I put them on. Oh my God. I will say though, they do a good job. Like they really they suck it all in, like and pop it out where it's supposed to be popped out. I mean, holy cow. It's really hilarious. So if you're looking for pants that make your butt look fantastic and you're not scared to walk around like that, because I would be, get that butt. Yes, very butt lifting. My dad's opinion? You want to know my dad's opinion? I don't want to know my dad's opinion of those leggings. Speaking of my dad, there's a new video out with my dad, and I need to get to the editing of the rest of it because there's more topics in there that we talk about that are fantastic. That's really fantastic. And I know you guys love my dad as much as I do. And so I'm going to have to get to that editing. So I got to get out of here because we lost Facebook a while ago. They went down, their server went down or something. So we are left on Rumble and YouTube. But that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the super chats and the Rumble rants. And I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in for True Crime Tuesday. True Crime Tuesday will happen again next week, and be back tomorrow for my regular stream tomorrow at 11 Eastern Standard Time, as always. Are they like Spanx? Well, sort of. I mean, maybe it's because mine are a little on the small side that they really suck you in. But they're not supposed to be worn under clothes. I think they're supposed to be like for exercise or whatever. I don't know. Exercise. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. It's been fun.
I was so lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. This time I know my road is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. And my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say goodbye.
So I take it that Johnny's problem is he should have come storming in there with
Yeah.
a string of garlic and some holy water.
Across.
May the power of Christ compel you.
No, I don't.
You realized his house was infested with succubuses.
Of what it, yes.
Succuloters.
When you arrived in the afternoon. I don't remember saying it now. So while she
No wonder he said drown her before you burn her.
Oh my God.
You-
Your next witness?
Now I know
Witness
why you wanted to drown her.
Laces. And that
Next
is
witness
also
lives in
by
Romania.
video.
Is that correct?
That begins with Miss Vasquez.